Ike, you shitbird. You want some pie? And then James Franco just perks up like, did somebody say pie?
So all good.
Right. Greetings. Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to our Barry Season 2 Spoilercast. That's right, coming at you 1 week after the finale of Season 2. Oh boy, Dragon, here's the thing. It's like, I feel like this season, especially with the Ronnie and Lily episode, which we'll get into this season, this podcast, folks, we're basically going to be breaking down all of Season 2 episode by episode. Ronnie and Lily kind of put this season on the map, I think, in terms of the pop culture zeitgeist. That's the most buzz I heard about this show. But Dragon, even with that in mind, I think more people should be talking about, because like this season, I literally just watched it all in one sitting, Dragon. I literally sat down for 4 hours, was like, all right, Barry, like, let's see how this plays as one long uninterrupted movie. Holy shit, Dragon. I mean, honestly, Dragon, I think this thing eclipses Kidding Season 1.
I wouldn't go that far.
I'm going that far. I'm confident when I say that. I mean, look, you know I like Kidding Season 1 a lot. But Kidding Season 1 kind of, it did have a couple problem areas. I'm looking at you, Will.
Okay, fine. Okay, let's be honest. There's one problem area with the kid. Otherwise, masterpiece.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. I'm saying that Barry Season 2 has no problem areas. None. Absolutely. There's no blemishes on Barry Season 2. It's just, like, front to back, I loved the hell out of every single scene that I watched. I just think it all ties together fantastically. It's Dragon. I am in love with this thing as a piece of media. I mean, folks who follow me on the podcast, you know that I'm kind of like I'm usually the cynical one of the bunch. I'm kind of the bad cop to Dragon's good cop. But oh man, and Dragon, I'm not calling you the bad cop in this situation, by any means, of course, but I got it. I nothing but love here, man. Nothing but just like pouring, like, just. I'm a little bit speechless, Dragon, because I finished my my marathon run of it about 20 minutes ago, and yeah, it's this season is just nothing but greatness to me. I mean, it's I'm not gonna start comparing it to Better Call Saul just yet, just because it's a little too early in its run. But it's I will say this much though, Dragon. I will say this much to kind of put an interesting pin in the conversation that we might cling on to going forward, all right? I think that this is an excellent second act in a 3-act story. I firmly believe that with Barry, I don't think you can get away with stretching this out to 5 or 6 seasons. The show got renewed for Season 3, and I'm stoked for that. But Dragon, I firmly believe that everything has to come to a head in Season 3. I don't think they can stretch it out anymore. And honestly, I'm kind of at the point where even though I love this show, not that I don't have confidence in the writers to pull off a Season 4 and beyond, because I do. But I'm just saying, like, with the, me, Dragon, I love my 3-act structure. And I think what happens at the end of this season is a perfect low of lows for the character of Barry Berkman. And I don't know, man. I'm just, like I said, it's like it'd be hard to say goodbye to the show this early, but I think they're really setting it up where Season 3 could be just the end game of everything and just be really bombastic and just have everything kind of collide into each other. And suffice to say, Dragon, I liked it. What are your thoughts?
I also really liked it. I thought Season 2 was phenomenal. It is kind of the dark Act 2 of potential 3-act story. It's kind of the vibe you get from it. It really gets into Barry's roots and is Barry facing the consequences of his choices big time. This is something we kind of flirted with in the first season. Season 2, we're really really going far with it, really seeing kind of the consequence of choice. And speaking of episode 5, I think, big thematically for a lot of the season, but especially kind of season 5, episode 5. This is the no half measures season in a big way. This really is. Uh,
Oh yeah.
yeah, yeah. It's I think the best way I could kind of describe season 1 versus season 2, and again, I still love season 1. Is that this is not the episodic sampling of season 1. Season 1 was kind of like we're kind of hit with these really kind of almost standalone episodes that did have a connecting thread that did build upon each other, but not as reliantly. You kind of had like, okay, here's kind of a different flair what Barry's dealing with this week, and in season 2, I felt was a little bit more serialized yet still kind of stemming from kind of the season 1 creative process, because it's definitely kind of two guys in a room kind of spitballing like, what if Barry did this? But more importantly, they've kind of seen what really worked with season 1 with, oh my god, we saw where season 1 went. And we were just kind of spitballing and just kind of putting Barry in a situation where we had a connecting thread.
That's exactly what I'm saying. I would I feel like the high point of season 1 for me was the big performance, what you and I always refer to as the generous scene partners in episode 7.
Yes.
And that was like kind of a big high point. And I feel like season 1 was a slow burn to get to that point. I mean, we had fun stuff along the way. I really love Taylor and that run of episodes. But suffice to say, Dragon, I feel like the writers hit their high point. They took the high point of season 1, and they somehow managed to stretch a whole season out of that high point.
Yeah, season 1 is basically season 1 was great, and then it reached exceptionalism with episode 7 specifically and 8. 7 and 8 were when they reached exceptionalism. And the best comparison I would have is something like Stranger Things season 1 and then season 2. Or season 1, when everybody was on the same page at the very end for like the last episode or two, that's when things were, oh my god, that's the show I want to see. And season 2 kind of started from that place onward. So again, that's kind of what we're dealing with Barry to an extent.
Yeah, sure.
Again, season 2, very strong, very entertaining, and narratively, I think it was a lot stronger. And again, not in the sense that season 1 wasn't narratively strong. I just think they had more of a plan going into season 2, knowing what kind of they accomplished in season 1, and I loved every minute of it. I thought it was great.
Dragon, just to put the pin in this for the future, maybe I'll bring it up on a memoirs or something in the future. I actually bought season 1 for my dad on Blu-ray as an early Father's Day gift.
Ah.
And we're planning on watching it together, the whole run. And it might take us, we'll probably break it up into chunks, probably maybe 2 episodes a night over the course of a week or something. But, of course, and then I hope to convince him to come into my room and watch season 2 on my laptop with me. I don't want to wait until season 2 hits physical media to watch it with him, because I just think he'd dig it. But suffice to say, I'm definitely interested in getting his perspective on it, because he's way into Better Call Saul and the Breaking Bad universe and all that stuff. So, Dragon, I should have said this as one of my thesis statements as well. But of course, we're coming off of Better Call Saul season 4 being perhaps the greatest season of anything in the Albuquerque verse. And I'm not saying that this is better than that, but I will say that Barry Berkman is the next great TV anti-hero. We had Walter White, we had Jimmy McGill, and now I think Barry Berkman is stepping up to the plate. Dragon, I really think that the future, unless they really significantly fuck up season 3, unless season 3 goes down worse than the Dexter, than the bad Dexter seasons went down somehow. I really think that Barry Berkman's going to be kind of on this, this kind of Hall of Fame of TV anti-heroes in this golden age of anti-heroes that we live in.
Again, the best way I keep describing Barry to people when I tell them to watch it, especially after season 2's wrapped, is it's kind of like a dark comedy version of Dexter. It's kind of an inverse version of Dexter, where, because again, remember that was kind of what the intro and the poster is all about. Like, he dresses like Dexter out on a kill, but no, in actuality, again, it's a lot more interesting than that. It's a lot more, again, more funny, but it's comedy with kind of a built-in drama to its premise. And again, it was so trippy when like this and Kidding were coming out, and they're kind of inverses of what the cell was for one another. One was seemingly just at first glance like kind of like your Dark Dexter-esque show, and the other one was like, oh, it's happy-go-lucky Jim Carrey as a Mr. Rogers.
And of course, ironically enough, I think Kidding is you and I can probably agree is the darker watch.
It is, and they're both wonderful. Again, it's like a wonderful world we live in. We get these two shows that are kind of the opposites of each other, but they're better for it. Better for being.
It's so crazy. It's like Barry is about a hitman. Kidding is literally about Mr. Rogers.
Essentially, yeah. Real quick, just you know what else you should for your Father's Day watch of Barry? You know what you should eat while you're watching it?
What?
Strawberries.
Oh God. Also, yeah, right. Also, my dad is named Barry.
Oh my goodness! Wow.
Yep.
Oh, irony bounds.
Also, my grandfather is also named Barry.
And again, strawberries would be the perfect.
Honestly, on Father's Day, my ideal goal for Father's Day is to just be like, hey, Grandpa, get into my dad's room. We have a new TV in here, and I want to sit down and watch this. I'm serious, Dragon. My goal for Father's Day is to just have a 4-hour marathon watch of Barry Season 1 with 2 berries.
Oh, good luck with that.
Oh God. Anyways, I don't even know if my grandpa would be into it, but I know my dad's going to be into it. I know my dad's going to love the show. I wouldn't have spent the $20 on it if I didn't think so. But all right, so Dragon, let's get into it. The show must go on. Probably.
All right, so I'll just go through the directors. I won't go through the whole shebang. But okay, so the director on this was Hiro Murai or Murray. So the point is that Hiro Murai, he directed the Taylor episodes from the first season, the 2 Taylor episodes, the 2 major Taylor episodes, not the introduction, but the ones where Taylor actually factored into them.
Yeah.
All right, so I think the theme.
Hot tub.
Sorry, just all these Taylor lines are hysterical. But anyway. So I think the theme of this first episode it's the theme of moving forward in the face of tragedy, whether it's it's in the face of setbacks or bad news. That's what this episode. The show must go on. The old adage in Hollywood, a very old Hollywood saying. It's in sometimes the worst of tragedies. We're like, okay, well that's a setback. Let's see, but the show must go on.
Yeah, of course. One of the biggest things is we get we get Henry Winkler in deep despair. Something that's going to be greatly bookended by the end of the season. That's one of the many threads I took away from a rewatch, Dragon.
Absolutely. This is a few weeks later since the finale of season 1. So the idea is like it's like 3, essentially, let's say 3, maybe even 4 weeks after Moss has gone missing, quote unquote. Moss has gone missing from the cabin. I always perceived as maybe a month or so, because again they're putting on a show. So basically, the whole Chechnya, basically Barry saves Fugues, and then a month or so goes by because then they're putting on a show and everything. And this is basically when they're at the cabin, all happy-go-lucky. It's a little intimate setting. So I'm assuming a month has gone by. So now 3 weeks have gone by since Moss has disappeared and Gene has had a breakdown. Gene is. They're about to put on the show as Sally and Barry were talking about, the front page, the comedy, it's the fast-paced kind of 40s comedy. No, you gotta stop the presses, new story, the whole thing.
Mm-hmm.
And Gene's completely in despair. He had a nervous breakdown. Again, I like how we're kind of in the middle of a scene just now with this, kind of in the kind of in the middle of the scene, middle of the moment, and Barry's trying to take a role of leadership here, and of course, given what happens to him this season with with another group of misfits, it's kind of interesting that he can't quite rally the acting.
I'm sure nothing bad will happen to those rapscallions.
Yeah, I'm sure they're gonna have I'm sure they're gonna go on to do many wondrous things. maybe even a startup capital of some variety. Who knows?
Okay.
Anyway, so Barry. So basically, Barry, what he's doing here is he's trying to kind of embrace the starting now, which is kind of the last note we left off with Barry, where he's trying to embrace the starting now. He's trying to put the old life behind him with Fugues because he's divorced Fugues.
Dragon, correct me if I'm wrong. We don't get any kills from Barry until the scene, right?
I'm so glad you brought that up. We don't get any kills in the present until the very last episode.
The scene, like just capital scene.
Like on a rewatch is when it really dawns on you, or either that until like I guess the first. I forget if it was like the second viewing of the first.
I was kind of tracking it, Dragon. I was tracking it like at least through halfway through the season.
I got to be honest, the flashbacks kind of. I was tracking it too, but then the flashbacks kind of deterred me from because we had some kills, but then again I was kind of because I was it was engrossing. I was so engrossed, like I just kind of forgot to keep going. Like oh my god, I should have given what episode 5 is all that. It should have dawned on me. Oh yeah, we're still doing that. Anyway, so Barry, he's putting his old life behind him with Fugues. He's going to divorce things with Fugues, of course, at the cost of Moss, though. At the cost of Moss, he's I love the new status quo we're kind of introduced to here, where Barry, he's putting on the play with the front page. He has that clothing store job. It's like kind of like a modern LA Gap sort of place. He's working with Sasha, the English one with the nose piercing. They both have British. Barry, again, I like how Barry's kind of developed as an actor, trying accents and everything.
God, that scene was so cringe in the best of ways.
It was, but I love how she's calling it out.
You're embarrassing us.
I respect we had.
It's in the situation, Barry.
I love how we called out the old Australian accent thing. I thought that was hysterical. The accent thing where it's like, well, you
by.
I just love that. I love you just kind of pulling that out. Just I would never do an Australian accent. I just love that. I love that's like a hot button issue. What's the accent?
This is the life.
Love it. Anyway.
Wait, no, Dragon. I have to do this. Okay, I'm sorry, but any locals will know what I'm talking about. All right, 1, 2, 3. Come to the mighty Quinn, the home of water pipes. All right, sorry, Dragon. A little Sonoma County humor for any of my friends that might be listening to this. Anyways,
go ahead. The point is, Barry's making
joke right there.
Barry's trying to maintain his new status quo. He even has roommates and everything with your Jermaine and the wimpy guy. I keep forgetting the guy's name. The wimpy guy from the Nick. Right? Thank you, Nick. So Nick and Jermaine, these rooming with those guys, which I love that, by the way. We find that out a little bit more. I forget if it's later in this episode. I think it's more next episode. The point being, he has roommates and everything. And Barry,
Jermaine was like very sketched out and weirded out by Nick.
Well, no. He's weirded out by the other guy. That's not Nick. Nick's the Nick. I remember they had the whole battle of overplaying a stereotype last season. So that's
wait. Then who was Jermaine weirded out by then?
No, I know. Here's the thing. I don't know the guy's name, but I know we pay off that gag later on. Remember, he calls him like an effing serial killer, serial killer, and he says, "What do you mean? I didn't." Because again, he thinks that he's the suspect in the class who killed everybody.
Yeah, I know. I just thought that was Nick.
No, that's not Nick. No. Well, at the very least, Nick's not the room. Nick's the guy who's thrown up into the toilet for the whole season. That's Nick. If you're that's the roommate. That's that. If that's Nick, then that's who that is.
Okay. Well, my bad. I these minor characters, I get them mixed up sometimes, I guess. Anyways.
Well, the point is, again, Jermaine, we know for kind of like the Better Call Saul bathroom humor of like, I have IBS, Bear. I'd like to share my story with you.
Oh, God.
We do a lot with Jermaine. The more on Jermaine later. We're getting sidetracked with Jermaine
I feel like Jermaine is a good he's a good second tier character this season. He's not.
Jermaine actually had a payoff with his joke, and I love it too. A few jokes. I really loved it. The 3 jokes. He got payoff with 3 of his major jokes. Anyway, sorry, getting back on the point.
Jermaine and Natalie. I feel like Natalie also got quite a bit to do.
Yeah. Natalie was, I love that actress too because she's on The Good Place. She's so good on the no pun intended. She's so good on The Good Place. She really is, though.
If she was a good dinosaur, she'd also be good in that.
Remember, by the way, just to kind of shout out here, we do have a little bit of JGI crossover because Sasha, the one who Barry's coworker, I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that's the actress that Katie Garland knows.
Yeah, indeed.
Little fun fact. Okay, so Barry, anyway, so Barry's trying to move forward here, and of course at the cost of Moss, but more so in doing so and trying to move on, trying to adopt the actor's life that he wanted, trying to make the fantasy life that he wanted, that he accomplished at the very end until Moss came by and he had to kind of, reenact the whole starting now idea. He's wounded Gene Cousineau. He's wounded his friend, his mentor, his father figure. He has wounded Gene Cousineau, who is holding out hope that that at this point that Moss is alive, and the cops are giving up because there's no evidence, because Barry covered his tracks really well here and says no one knows what happened. And I love that as he says that. I love we shift all the blame. Again, Barry embracing his life here. He has to at the cost of Gene here. It's adding the guilt on. It's like no one knows what happened here, right, Barry? It's almost like that. It's almost like that. It's just like hammering on the guilt, and of course Barry hits a roadblock here where he desperately wants to maintain the new status quo, so it wasn't all for nothing, so that all of it was was not for nothing, and in doing so he has to maintain the acting class at all costs, and to do so he has to kind of get Gene out of his funk, because remember, Gene is contemplating suicide at this point. We have this hilarious scene, by the way, again, the dark comedy bounds here, where there was this, I was thinking about kissing my gun that I got from Rip Torn. This is kissing your gun? Suicide, Barry.
Suicide, Barry.
The act of Harry Carey, the baseball player? Have you ever heard of Harry Carey? Oh, yeah, he's a great baseball player. Oh, God, anyway. Great, I don't know. Henry Winkler's killing. Man, Henry Winkler, give him another Emmy. Just give him another 30-year Emmy. Why don't you? Come on. Because he really, especially later on, he really earned the Emmys, man. He and Bill Hader, they're Emmy bros, if I'm remembering correctly. I believe they both, I forget if Hader got it for actor or just because he co-created a series. I forget which one. I believe actor got him the Emmy. Point being, I think they're Emmy bros in some way, shape, or form for that year. Anyway. Mm. So, anyway, before we go any further with the Barry Cousineau stuff, maybe we should talk about the opening. The opening's really good for the episode.
Oh, yeah, with Fuchs, right.
Yeah, we had the misdirect opening. Remember, we have the opening with the Barry misdirect, and I thought this was so clever.
And the great thing about that is, like, of course, throughout the season, we have this whole running theme of Barry training people to be like him, and here we have a hitman who is clearly, like, the worst-case scenario. Like, this guy is just the anti-Barry Berkman in terms of professionalism.
So right off the bat, we have like kind of classic Barry humor here with like the pause.
Oh my God! Thank God you guys are here.
No, I mean before that, remember like he's about our kind of our misdirected Barry here is about to go in the room, and the guy's like, well, why don't you pause when I get up? It's common courtesy. Pause when I get up, and the guy's just like he's not looking out the door for the man with the shotgun, but we have this that's perfect Barry humor, and then of course. Goes in there, is shooting the safe. It's redirecting on him. We find out it is not Barry, and then just like we have perfect. It's really well directed humor here, where Fuchs is just in the room, and he's just like he's reassuring the client. Oh yeah, we're gonna kill some folks. Well, you didn't tell me we were gonna kill people. I didn't mention that. Oh, it's just, and of course, like when basically the hit has just gone completely wrong because he blew the safe and it ricocheted into his leg, and the whole thing has just gone south, and people are the whole thing is terrible, and basically just shows up at the door, and then he's just taken out by the cops, and the door closes. It's just perfect timing on all of this, and then of course clients jumping out the window, and Fuchs then pulls the like, oh thank goodness you're here. So Fuchs is trying to move on and replace his most competent asset, which, of course, the whole like being out of moves idea is going to be a huge facet of the season. Where Fuchs, as we've established in season 1, Fuchs talks a big game. He talks a wonderful game, but in reality, Fuchs is kind of a moron. In places, Fuchs is a moron because remember, his big war strategy for taking on the Chechens was Call of Duty. It was. I think it was Call of Duty. It was one of the video games. And it's like that was his big strategy as he was staking around. Barry, you're going to go in there. You're going to take them all out. And apparently it wasn't far off. But again, wrong season, Fuchs. Wrong season. Right. So the point is, it's a hilarious disaster at the start of things. Then we check in with Barry as we've already done here. And let's talk about Hank.
Yes. I was going to bring that up.
Our favorite character. Let's talk about Hank.
Dragon, I'm just going to say this. Like, I feel like NoHo Hank was like manufactured to just be our wet dream of a character in terms of like all these pleasantry running gags.
Yes.
I mean, it's just like the dude is just like the embodiment of that kind of humor.
He is absolutely. God, he's just Anthony Kerrigan is just. We already loved him in Gotham. I mean, he was pretty. He did have an element of pleasantries to him already. He had like an honor code.
He did in Gotham, yeah.
And this is just the Farmiga-esque. Again, this is if as our analogy has been like if Victor Zsasz is Norma Bates, then NoHo Hank is Mother.
Oh my God. It's the perfect role for him, man. And of course, going into this episode, we get that just effing delightful bromance with him and Cristobal. And I love the way that pays off. By the way, I have some speculation about that, moving forward. Let's just say I'm pretty sure Cristobal's still in the picture.
I hope so, because it looked like, again, bear in mind what happened.
I was looking closely in that scene, Dragon. I'm pretty sure I saw Cristobal just kind of run off.
That's the thing. He runs away, but that's the thing. He runs away, and my hope is that he got away. But again, it was.
I'm pretty sure. I'm like 90% sure he did. I think if he would have, I think if he did get killed, we would have focused on it.
Exactly right. That was it's a logic.
Yeah.
Okay, anyway, so we start the season off like it's all pleasantries, and essentially Hank is corresponding with his boss, is the big Chechnyan boss. With sorry, I have it written down here. It's Barrett. Batir, that guy. It's corresponding with Batir, the big kind of Chechnyan boss, basically the guy who oversees him. He's confirmed with the Chechnyan. And because remember, he got kind of Goran's job right now, and he's got Goran's job, and he's working with the Bolivians, and he has to sell them on the big partnership. And again, the men are working great. He has to sell the higher ups in the family, the greater family, on this partnership. And anyway, so he's writing like he's writing in his diary. Oh, me and Cristobal, we're playing volleyball. They call
bloods, and we are killer at volleyball.
Remember his nickname, T. I like his nickname does correspond to his story this season. His nickname is, they call me the Bullet.
The Bullet, yes.
Of course, is definitely a big connect to what Hank's story is.
It's such a wonderful Chekhov's gun.
It is. It's kind of the old, the gun has to be fired. If the gun is not fired, it's introduced in Act 1, it's got to be fired by Act 3. That sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
So he's BFFs with Cristobal big time. Everything's going great until Esther. Esther's this weird, wonderfully weird character. It's not. Imagine if
I feel like Esther is kind of like a build up to the weirdness that is Ronnie Lily.
Oh my God, you're right. That is a build. Yeah, you're right. It is.
It's kind of like sprinkling in that things are going to get a little surreal.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, because Esther is basically, more again. Ronnie Morse
stabbing the hand bit.
Yeah, Ronnie Morse. My analogy was going to be that Esther's sort of like a more serious and menacing Chick Hogan to an extent, but Ronnie's a little bit more of
I don't think Chick Hogan.
Yeah, you're right. Chick Hogan's a lot more.
She barely has any lines. Chick Hogan is all about the dialogue.
Yeah, you're right. Okay, never forget. I'm gonna file the Chick Hogan reference. So, point is, so Esther is the representative of the Burmese crime family in this partnership with Cristobal. Cristobal loves the Burmese because basically, as we've established wonderfully in season 1. The Chechnyans, especially under Hank's tutelage, they're pleasant guys. They're pleasant and menacing-looking guys. But let's be honest, as we've learned time and time again by Barry killing them in the first season, not really good at their jobs. They're nice guys, and they're menacing, but not at all good at their jobs.
Oh.
They can't kill anyone for worth anything. Because usually, remember the last guy we had.
It's great because it's like the element of the show that's supposed to be the antagonistic force is really the biggest source of comic relief.
It is, because remember, the last guy, he told torture fugues, and he builds the stockades.
Oh my God!
This is gonna be more. You promised this is my thing. He killed my brothers. I just love that. Anyway, so the point is, basically, what Cristobal's really getting from these guys is he needs good killers in the Burmese family. One, they have a really swell operation going on with the heroin operation. They're really clever. And we get into that in episode 2. But the point being, the Burmese family, they bring a lot to the table that Hank is lacking. So again, the partnership does make sense for Cristobal's point of view, and this hurts Hank's feelings. And by the way, my favorite detail, and possibly in the whole season, my favorite detail in the set, is we have this big, almost portrait-sized photo of Cristobal and Hank with giving a thumbs up next to each other in like the office space, and they have like this little table set. And I love that they have like these animal mugs, like one has a fox and the other one has like a bear or something. I don't know. They have like these animal mugs, and Esther's drinking Hank's fox mug. Anyway, so then of course you have the hand stab game. We have this great delivery from Anthony Garrigan. Sweet baby Jesus. just again, the point is the Burmese family. The point is Esther does not screw around. She's majority of a silent, if not just menacing character, just drinking these slushies and just dresses.
I would say she's I would say she's like a less serious Darth Maul.
That's a better comparison than one I was laying out. Sure.
It's still not great. It's still not great.
I don't know. Maybe it's a notch above. Let's say it's maybe a 2%er than a 1%er. We'll go with that. Anyway, so all right, let's see. So also we have so importantly, so Hank is obviously threatening Esther as a problem, and and he gets the DHL bullet. So he sent a DHL bullet, and I love it. So he gets sent a DHL bullet from the homeland. Basically, he has a choice. Do you save Barry, or she chooses to save Barry and blame Esther when they're asking, who killed Goran and company. Mm-hmm. And he puts the blame on Esther because he's been kind of dodging the issue. So now he puts it on Esther to hopefully save his skin because he sent the bullet that implies death. And this is a wonderful thing we set up hilariously first season that pays off here. So again, now Barry is he saved Barry. Barry's his ace in the hole, so he goes to his ace in the hole in a hilariously pleasant scene. Mm-hmm. So he goes. I just love Hank again. I love the lengths that Hank goes to kind of try to be incognito here.
Hey,
Hank
it's
is
me.
wearing these.
It's Hank.
I'm wearing a wig. I don't care about the wig, Hank. I know it's you. Do you have these in a size small? Those are women's pants. Oh crap.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So Barry, I was feeling for Hank so much in this scene. I don't know about you. I mean, Barry was really harsh and uncaring towards how he rejected Hank, saying, Hank, I don't effing care. You effing idiot. Just get out of here. Just cares about preserving the status quo.
I think it's a running theme through the whole season of Barry kind of like, writing off people coming back to haunt him.
Yep, consequences big time. And again, when he tries, Barry's big character flaw this season, the Greek tragedy, as it were, Barry's big character flaw, as you said, Tiki, he's kind of the whole season of Consequence stems from Barry trying to preserve the status quo at all costs and just cutting off the old life without any consideration or any forethought of this. I'm just going to cut it out of my life without letting it in whatsoever. And doing so, it brings back a really harsh, really very monumental consequence.
Oh yeah.
So let's see. So this hurts, and I love him. Again, Hank gives him some tough love, which leads to the big confrontation at the end of the episode, which of course Kerrigan's
confrontation. To me, it's like, honestly, I wish they would have done a little bit more with that throughout the season, because I did sort of feel like that's like the one moment in the entire series, honestly, where Hank is like genuinely pretty menacing.
Now, again, season 3 might bode our big returns at this, but again, as it stands, just with the season that we do have, I got to be honest, I think it just speaks to, again, Hank is kind of the ultimate relatable boss in the fact that, again, he has to crack the whip because Barry has put him in a really uncomfortable position here, so he has to dole out some truth here. But by the same token, again, Hank's a really cool guy, and he really does like Barry, which is why he doesn't really. Basically, Hank has 2 serious moments with Barry. And of course, the second one's really undercut by a lot of great comedy. But the point being, he has these 2 serious moments with Barry. That again, the fact that he really does like Barry, knows that Barry again, he views himself as Barry's bestie next to Cristobal. It's you and I, because again, he saved they both saved each other, and he just wants to he just wants to be cool with Barry. I think he's just a cool boss who has to get really stern with Barry here. Again, season 3 maybe will be a return to form, but I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
But seriously, Kerrigan's performance, though, in this scene is remarkable. Because, again, I love how aware, in this episode, of course, and by episode 7, I believe, as well, I love how aware Hank is of himself. That's one of my favorite things about Hank. Sure. He is aware that, I know I'm a super pleasant guy. I went put on the wig and everything. And I try, again, he went out of his way to protect Barry's status quo, again, horribly, but he did make an effort, though.
It's like, at the end of the day, he is in the mob. You know what I mean? It's like
he is. He doesn't have to do this.
Yeah.
He could just show up and just kill the whole acting class if he wanted to. If he wanted
to. Exactly.
At the very least, like, if he was really menacing, he'd go in there, like, kind of like hold a gun to Sally's head, say, "Do this, or I'm going to blow her brains out in front of your living room rug." I don't know, it'd be something horrible like that.
Oh man, and that would of course just blow everything up right there. That would blow Barry's life up without anyone even having to get hurt.
Exactly, but Hank is giving him all the consideration here. He's trying. He gets it, man. And he's just telling. He's just as Barry. You really disrespected me. You really undercut me in a harsh way. And those words really hurt. I don't blame Hank here. And again, Hank has to make a point, and I felt bad. Like, oh man, poor Hank has to make such a statement here at the acting class. Like, hey, I know your acting classes, and he says he's not going to do it himself, but he's going to have. Again, I love that Hank's not even being a really bad guy. He's just saying the facts. That look. If you're putting me in a position, if it's my life or your life, I'm gonna have to tell them that it was you who killed him. And even if I go down, you have to go down with me. That's the way it has to be. I saved you last season. You and I have to be on the same page here, or else I'm not going to be the only one that goes down here. Really compelling stuff. And of course, it's like, this is me telling you to do the hit. They play some super poppy music as he leaves. On the radio, anyway. So speaking of just kind of some playing with some tones with some certain characters here, so let's talk about Fugues and Loach, more so individually here before they really team up. So Fugues, of course, he's in interrogation. We have this really, again, we see Fugues talks a big game, but he's really an idiot most of the time. Fugues, he's in the interrogation room, and he just botches. He's the reason Barry's in trouble this season, because he's just stupid enough to realize, like, you need a court order for my DNA, but I ain't giving it to you. I've seen Law and Order. I know my rights. And he drinks the soda.
Takes a sip from the Coke.
See, my impression of that is Fugues has maybe watched an episode or two of Law and Order, like maybe half of a season.
Right.
He just hasn't picked up on like he doesn't really understand like the formula of like, oh yeah, so in interrogation they always offer you a drink or a soda because again it's a backdoor for DNA once they take it away, and at least just to kind of get an inkling on something before they have to make it all official and everything. So the point being, they have his DNA, and it's beautifully shot. It's in the background, you can see exactly what's happening. Fugues is a dope, and of course this links to the tooth that was left in Goran's garage, because remember he says, Barry, I love it. Again, Tiki, the writing room fascinates me here between Bill Hader and Alec Berger. This kind of reflect on season one. Says, oh, remember, the tooth's still there. Let's just use that. And again, it works out wonderfully for him. Oh yeah, the tooth from the end of season one would be there. Therefore, we can kind of link. It just basically Barry is just, as the character Barry himself. The writing room, the creative process on Barry is a series of happy accidents that really pay off. They just really do. It's the luckiest show I've ever seen in the best of ways.
Right.
Of course, they have the tooth link. So Loach has a big role this season. Again, Loach is kind of an ancillary character in the first season, but Loach takes on a big role this season, at least for the half of the season.
Yeah.
Okay, big scene, though. The big scene we have to talk about. The flashback.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
Afghanistan, the flashback, the big the sheep thing.
Oh yeah, right. Of course, I was thinking one, but yeah.
Okay, so remember how he gets. I know there are two flashbacks. The point is the first flashback here where again, so basically he has to get Gene on the hook. Gene says, the acting class is therapy, Gene. You can't, because remember, he cancels the show, says, guys, I didn't have anything to do with this show. Yeah, I love it doesn't refund the money, just you can use it as you can exchange it for anything in the Gene Cousineau stores.
Now merchandise.
I just love, again, that's the fascinating thing, the way Henry Winkler plays his character. Again, he plays sincerity, but sincerity that's also the supercilious actor at the same time. It's also the ego-driven actor. I still got to put my own brand out there. There's certain lines, he's too enthralled in the business. Anyway, so he has to win Cousineau back by giving a little detail about himself. Barry has to face his own darkness, his own actions. He has to confront his regrettable act from his past, which, again, all of season one, he avoided, and Tiki, you got your big wish for him this season all over because you wanted to know about Barry and Fugues' past, and you got it big time here.
I mean, there is honestly the one thing I want to know still is, like, we know the why. I want to know the how. I want to know exactly how Fugues is connected to the family.
Right. Well, he knows his father saved Fugues' life. They mentioned that, so I guess if we see that, that could be in season 3, perhaps. All right.
Okay.
Anyway, okay, so Okay, so that's the flashback. Remember remember how we do this too. We have the acting class. It's an old acting class exercise where someone tells a story, and they reenact the story, and you can do the sound effects and just kind of act it out, and this inspires the big plot line for the whole season.
Mm-hmm.
We have the origin of Barry's purpose in this flashback, where basically Barry and his friend his friend Albert, I believe I think it's Albert.
Yeah, it's Albert. Yeah.
Albert. Anyway, so he and his friend here, he and his friend, like they're kind of watching out here. They basically see a potential threat, emphasis on potential, and they basically see, it's something. I can't quite repeat it. You may be able to, but it's kind of like it's kind of an equivalent to sort of like as you would call a Haji. It's kind of like offensively you write off like, oh yeah, it's just like it's kind of a native of the land we just we don't care about. So it's really, we see the nitty gritty of kind of war here, which is obviously you're so desensitized. It's like yeah, they're like their target practice here. Whereas just yeah, we have a potential threat here. Just fire. It's you won't hit him. Just like fire a few warning shots, just scare him off a little bit. And of course, Barry being the crack shot that he is, he hits all the targets, and everyone's like cheering him on. And basically, they're all celebrating murder, where the acting class perceives as you would be devastated by killing somebody without. We see Barry's memory where they're all cheering on Barry Berkman. Barry Berkman, they're all they're cheering murder like he won the home game, and everyone who's not saying so how is that how it went down? Did you cry? Did you cry and haunted and all and then such? And Barry's like yeah, but he's really hesitant to give the answer. It's a really wonderful scene, right?
Yeah, and of course that it's just kind of like the tip of the iceberg when it comes to the darkness that Barry goes through in this season. And we see so much worse, but it's just kind of like a little bit of like, yeah, like basically the thread that's weaved here is that like he's celebrated in this scene for murder, and then by the end of the season we're going to see like Barry in a very, very ugly state killing people, and it's going to be very different.
So this puts into play a lot of stuff, because we put Gene's back in the fray with this story, and Sally's story is kicked off because of the acting exercise. So all of this is put forward because of Barry essentially kind of keeping the acting class alive. So again, Barry's attempt to maintain the status quo comes at him recounting his regrettable action, as well as again dipping into the past, dipping into the darkness. So again, he has to have two lives to keep the status quo going, to keep the dream alive, which is going to come back and haunt him by the season's end. And of course, big setup in parallel here with the fact that he's lauded for murder. Again, this is the birth of his purpose here, where again we see the origins of the hitman here, where he's such a crack shot, and emphasis of he felt a grander sense of purpose that Fugues then twisted into kind of the purpose of a hitman. So this is the beginning of like what Barry is. This is the birth of Barry as the killer. This is the first kill, presumably, of Barry Berkman. Presumably. Pretty big.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay.
All right.
Bring this.
Just want to emphasize, Dragon, that took like nearly an hour to get through, so we absolutely cannot like take that long for every episode.
All right. Well, let's move on to episode 2 here. So, The Power of No, directed by Hiramura yet again. This is about the refusal to do something and the choice of no. Why don't you start us off?
Yeah, sure. So, of course, this very much is an emphasis on Barry not killing someone. That's kind of like the big highlight of the episode, is that whole, invasion into where Barry breaks into the monastery only to be chased away by an army of very angry gun-wielding monks. But, but building up to that, I feel like the no theme, we get Leo introduced, and I love the payoff that we get with Leo throughout the season.
Oh yeah, Leo's great.
Where at first Leo is very very reluctant to start a relationship with his father. Again, the no element, I guess, if you want to read into it that way. I don't know.
Yeah, I think the big thing to know there, with just with with kind of the big thing, the big action set piece of the episode, I guess, is Barry chooses not to kill Esther. He makes a big choice. The big choice, the main choice of no, is Barry not choosing not to kill someone, which of course is going to be recurrent until the very last episode. Barry not killing people, making that choice. And it's really well directed. It's really well directed sequence, really great chase. And again, basically the premise of the whole show, as they've kind of teased up, is again Barry trying not to kill people. Of course, basically Barry trying to live in the spotlight, trying to kind of live this life of not killing people, most likely result in his death.
Mm.
You can't be a hitman in the public eye without risking death. So again, this is Barry almost dying in saying no to murder and saying no to his previous calling. So again, I think it's indicative of kind of the acting class ultimately will lead to Barry's demise in some way, shape, or form. Let's see. I'm trying to hit some highlights here. Okay, so the acting.
The no thing also relates to Sally as well. That's the other big factor.
Yes, of course. Oh, here we get
that's where the title's really coming from. Is Sally, like the power of no is essentially like saying no to the abusive relationship and kind of like twisting the truth. Dragon, I gotta say, like rewatching it like all in one chunk, I think it plays super well. The fact that we get that scene between her and Sam shown through so many different lenses, Dragon. I feel like playing it all in one chunk. I like Sally a lot more in this season than I do in season one. I'll say that right now. I mean, she wasn't bad in season one, and I don't think she's perfect here either. But
it is an improvement, though. It is an improvement.
Yeah. I think they give her a much more. I think the only drawback with her is that she feels a little bit like. Honestly, if season 3 they just write her off completely, I wouldn't mind. I feel like this is like a pretty logical place to end her character. But season 2, they do give her a solid arc through season 2 of getting to the core of her truth and what her truth should be and what she wants it to be, and there's a lot to mine from there.
Right. Well, I think the other big example of no primarily is with Fugue. So Loach contacts Fugue. Basically, he interrogates Fugues. Of course, we have that great bit where like Monroe Fugues, I like to talk, and of course the cell drops behind him. Sure, because he's just trapped down there. He's a great guy. Stephen Rouge, wonderful. I can't get enough of Stephen. He's
he's come a long way from playing the buffoon in Office Space.
Yeah, man. He's such a. We don't have the time, but again, he's such a versatile actor. He's done so many really great things. He's an actor. Yeah, I mean, he loves doing voice acting. He plays so many great, diverse characters. Anyway, so point is, Stephen Root, wonderful actor. Anyway, so basically, he is was offered. He's asked to turn on Barry here, and more so, he's asked like, "Do you know Barry?" And if he said no, again, he was offered the choice of no, like, "Do you know Barry Berkman?" And basically, he relents on that. And of course, he signs up for an undercover wire operation with Loach. So he relinquished his power of no because of the breakup with Barry in season 1. So he chooses to save his life over Barry's, which ultimately is kind of the thing we've been saying with Fugues the whole time. Again, Fugues loves Barry, but again, if it comes to saving his own skin and like kind of the job before Barry, like again, Fugues does look out for his own interest before Barry, but he does care about the guy though. He does. Sal's acting real quick. Of course, we had a lot of hilarious. Again, it's a very relatable thing an actor goes through while they're working their way up. They have the acting reel put up, which we've seen many times, even from our Just Giggle, our favorites of Just Giggle. They had their own acting reels.
Man,
and I
want to sit down and talk to someone from Just Giggle about this show. I want to get their perspective on it.
Well, that's the thing. Maybe once one of them finishes the series, maybe perhaps we'll do that one of these days. I'm dying. I would love it if Piper didn't watch the whole season. I really want to talk to her about Barry because I still have a debt I got to repay to Piper because she introduced me to some good shows. Barry. Anyway, the point being, we have the acting reel, and of course it's a very relatable thing. But more so, one of our Better Call Saul alumni appears in it.
Oh my god.
The wonderful Patrick Fabian's in the acting reel.
Yep.
Yes, he plays the alien dad. He plays the Buck Rogers hero. I love it. Oh boy! So Jean pushes her past her limits of the role, and she has to see past her. Basically, she's dealing with her trauma. So that's kind of what we do here, and as set up at the very end of season 1. So, you know, they did have a plan, at least at the very end there. I remember you were kind of questioning, I don't know about this whole Sam thing. Paid off big time, man. Paid off big time.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, just broadly, you know, the acting class, of course, now they've been inspired by Barry's big scene from the last episode. Now they're putting on a big show where all of them are kind of reenacting a moment from their past. And Barry is questioning if he's evil. Of course, we got to talk about that scene with Hank, and then we'll move on.
Oh, my God.
And Barry's asking himself the big question as he poses it to Hank here.
That might be the most quotable scene of the whole season.
Okay, I'll tee it up for you here. So to say whatever you got from it. Okay, so
all right.
Barry's asking, "Hey Hank, do you think I'm evil?"
Oh my God! I mean, yes. Do I not say that to you enough? You stone kill killer, Barry.
Oh God, I love it so much.
I love how Hank is just like, he almost feels like he's slighted Barry by not paying him enough respect.
And again, they've really made up tremendously since the first episode. I love it. And of course, they have this inane bullet conversation. I just love the Chechens and their weird bullet hang-ups. Where it's like the whole, like, I want to shoot her with the special bullet that they were going to, you know, kill me with. I need to get the bullet back there. So, like, you want me to have her, like, read a thick book or something? Or, like, I don't know if that's going to... I just love this. I love the semantics and the mundanity of being a hitman. It's like, it never gets old, you know? It's anyway, so... and of course, Hank is in complete denial. Esther being an asset, and I love that this is saying, you know, you kill Esther, and now I get, you know, Cristobal and I are gonna be friends again. He says, well, you know, you could just take it for yourself, right? He says, no. I just love Hank's. He just wants the bromance with Cristobal back. He does not want us to take the heroin operation.
Exactly.
And again, I love how Barry's saying, "Oh man, it's a really smart operation," because basically they use a monastery to bring in people and heroin as, you know, under a religious asylum or something to the U.S., which is a really good plan. Just all right. Of course, Barry's questioning, can you reset after such violent acts? Which, again, I think the answer ultimately is no. But again, that's kind of the question that's being posed this season. A really fascinating kind of theme for the whole season. All right, let's move on to episode 3.
All right, past equals present, X future over yesterday.
Yes, this is directed by Better Call Saul director. We have Minky Spiro, who directed Fall and Smoke, directed Fall and Smoke from Better Call Saul.
Nice.
All right. So Barry, he was trying to basically this whole episode is kind of about with Sally and Barry and a little bit of Gene too. They're all about rewriting and redefining your past as the new present that is being drudged up today. So that's what the whole episode's about.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, it's about, Barry, basically, we bring back the fantasy element with Barry, which we do very sparingly this season, because we have flashbacks, but this is the rare time we do fantasy, where he's retelling and recreating events of, like, he's just trying to retell, like, instead of telling you how I took a life, I'm going to tell you how I saved a life, and then eventually...
Now, this is, of course, we lead up to the Braveheart moment.
Exactly. So basically, Barry and Fugues they meet again, and basically Barry again he's kind of gotten over his, you know, because Barry needs someone to talk about.
I'm Jewish, Barry. What the fuck?
So, God, my favorite. Okay, so that's my favorite element of the fantasy thing. By the way, I just love Henry Winkler in essentially Afghanistan, just in rural Afghanistan, just the way they shot that amongst all these soldiers and everything. And from what I'm convinced, the acting class dubs over the soldiers. By the way, I'm pretty sure, and I love it. Just like interrupting the seniors, just it's Braveheart, Barry. It's just Henry Winkler chewing them out in Afghanistan while they're all decked out as soldiers. I love it. I don't know why. It's absurd. It's funny, and again, it's playing with the fantasy element in a new way. And I loved it. So,
all right. Let's see. I guess. Where do we? Is this where Leo? What's going on with Leo here? Remind me.
Cabin gesture. We have the Gene wants to give him the cabin. Wants to give him the cabin, like rent it, like maybe make a whole father-son business out of it. And then Leo says, "I don't want the cabin where your ex-girlfriend was murdered. That's sick, Dad. That's sick." So again, Gene's making an effort. Gene is making an effort. And the big takeaway from this episode is that Barry is trying to sweet talk Gene and kind of playing to the actor's ego of, like, you know, Mr. Kristen, I'm having trouble with my scene here. Instead of like talking about I want to talk about when I met you and you changed my life. And of course, this plays the ego like, oh, me, Barry, I'd love to help you. Yes, do that scene. And of course, after this misfire with his son, he's like, Gene is making a genuine attempt to change here. So he says, no, don't make it about me. You're doing the scene, Barry. Don't make it about. Yeah.
Of course, with Barry, we get the stuff with Hank.
Yes. Yeah, so Hank, we have the Thomas Friedman opening, which is ridiculous and wonderful too. Is that Hank has that dream where he's just remember he got the Thomas Friedman book from. It's a payoff from season 1. Cristobal recommended the book of Thomas Friedman, and Hank read it.
Yes.
And then basically Hank is like telling Thomas Friedman to go screw himself, essentially about the solved the crisis.
But I love how it's like shot on like grainy, like early 2000s style video footage.
Yep, and then the Esther, before he basically again he's expecting Esther to be dead. You could hear Barry doing his job there, and of course he walks out expecting good news, like and this is Esther's. I heard about Esther, who's still alive right now. He's panicking. He's very transparent that obviously there's something fishy's going on here, and then also we get the whole Lululemon tracksuit. Esther's few lines, Lululemon tracksuit.
Right.
So. Of course, I still love this, and I think they got even more clever and creative with it this season. The way we do Barry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
We have to kill Barry now because basically they've been moved. The hit is not going right now. They've been moved from the stash house to a shipping container, which is we can perk it up some IKEA furniture. Okay, we have to kill Barry because he's bothering us. All right, which ultimately leads to the sniper gag. The sniper gag is it's just great, man. It's wonderful.
I mean, first of all, I love how that scene starts off. Like that scene starts off with such like impeccable sound design.
Where you hear the whizzing, and it looks like a fly is being swatted all against the doors. Like, this is Barry putting it together. It's perfectly timed. Again, Minky Spiro, man, we have a Better Call Saul director on this episode with these little touches. With little sniper bullets, and he kind of puts two and two together, and he springs into action, keeps the guns under his bed and everything, and he of course he fires at Hank's. Again, Hank's guys are terrible. It's like Star Wars. They're stormtroopers. They can't connect the bullets. So Barry shoots him in the exact same spot he shot Hank in the first season. Oh man, Barry's really good at the same place he got me last season. And of course Barry just goes up like, "What are you doing?" And my girlfriend's there, and then of course a really intense scene here where Hank says, "You know what? I'm dead anyway. Just do it." And of course, Barry not wanting to kill anyone this season, he doesn't do it. And then Hank is of course like, "Oh my god!
Oh my god! That was so scary."
He throws up. It's great. Oh come on, man! And of course, like my guys suck, man.
That's why I love this show so much. Is that this show just it just toes the line of comedy and suspense and drama so well in the same moments. It's just such a great tightrope act in those moments. Like
nothing's lost, but by the same token, everything is gained. And of course, says my guy, I can't do this hit for you. Well, have one of your guys do it. My guy suck balls. You are king of Suckballs Mountain.
You are king of Suckballs Mountain.
It's a great improv, by the way. So Barry, this is a big plot point here. So Barry agrees to train Hank's men to settle the score. I'm sorry, this is where the whole so you can render Esther useless if you have better killers than Esther does, or you can just take over and take everything for yourself. So he's working with Cristobal. So, I'm going to work with Cristobal, and he's just dancing, happy dance and everything. It's Hank. Come on, it's hysterical. So Barry, interestingly, this season he's put in Fugue's position as the mentor, as the teacher, training the next generation of himself. Specifically, and I love this character. I know you do too. At least given what happens to him. Mayor Beck. Mayor Beck is kind of the protege. Barry is kind of the best student that Barry has. The guy with kind of the not the bowl cut, but the crack shot of Hank's guys. That guy.
Yeah.
We also have the interpreter gag, which I think is hysterical and really smart, where they have the guys interpreting everything Barry's saying, but they all understand him. And anyways, it's like, how many of you guys speak English? Why do we have the interpreter here? Really funny.
Mayor Beck, yeah. I'm just gonna plant this flag right now, and we'll get back to it later. The way that the whole thing with the Chechens wraps up, it kind of reminds me of the Mike storyline from Better Call Saul season 4.
It is very much like that. I'd agree. It's kind of like again, it's not as focused. Basically, it's not like the main B story of the whole season. But I get exactly where you're going for there. It's kind of like, what if that were like a C story almost?
Yeah.
But yeah, I do love that though. It does have an impact and is representative of it's representative of the whole Barry's darkness story. Like again, so it is kind of the payoff. So in turn, it ties into the bigger B story anyway. More on Mayor Beck a little bit later on. But so Barry, again, as we mentioned, Barry literally tries to rewrite the Korangal. And, of course, the whole fantasy direction, all that's great. Let's see. I'm trying to see if there's anything major here. Oh, yeah, the quinceanera. We see the quinceanera store, by the way, which is just funny. Loach is kind of stuck with the quinceanera store that he was starting with his ex-wife before she left him for another guy, and it's the fact he's just stuck with this really niche, this uberly niche business, the quinceanera store,
Right.
which you gotta remember is only going to be useful at only one age demographic. So it's really a 1%. For female 15-year-old Mexican girls, essentially. It's a real 1%er. All right, so importantly, so the whole reinventing the passing. So Sally, she's reinventing her story, and she has the wake-up call here. She has the wake-up call to the reality that she finds out from her friend that no, you didn't stand up for yourself the way you thought you did. We got you out of there before things got really bad. So Sally has a wake-up call, and Barry, and this parallels Barry's story in terms of like reinventing and rewriting the story as it works. Because Barry's literally trying to rewrite just the terrible thing that he's done in terms of the story that he's kind of saddled with now. And of course this leads to like the whole tense choke me scene where basically Sally's trying to she tries to get Barry there by really being tough with him, and it really just ticks Barry off, and it's a really and again, like, Barry's told to funnel in his inner darkness.
I mean, I don't blame Barry for yelling at her to fuck off in that moment. She really does go a little too
It is, and again,
far.
this is stuff Jean has done in the first season. She's trying to mimic Jean in a way. So again, you understand, like, she's not doing it just to be cruel to him. She is doing it to help. And again, she's like, "Oh, that's so sweet, Barry." But no, we have to, we got to push the scene here, man. But importantly, Barry's anger is a ticking clock this whole season. My favorite thing, Tiki, on a rewatch, my favorite thing about the rewatch is that every time Barry gets angry, they do the same direction here, where things get slow, his eyes go wide, and he turns. And again, he turns just like the flashback, as we learn. And when he turns, the sound goes out, and we hear like this. We hear the wind sound. We hear the wind sound when he gets really angry, echoing the flashback. So it all connects, man. It's great.
Sure.
So then we have the Sam ending, where basically Sam shows up, and it's just like, it's just Sally, and of course, like, Sam, and of course Barry begins the turn, and what picks up almost right where that left off with the scene. Then we get episode 4, which is one of my personal favorites. There's so many good ones in this season. This one's there's so many. I love What so much. So What is directed by Liza Johnson, who directed Elvis and Nixon, the Amazon movie.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I love that movie. She directed Elvis and Nixon. She directed an episode of Feud, Betty and Joan, I believe. And she directed some Series of Unfortunate Events episodes on Netflix, and directed an episode of Sneaky Pete for the new season.
Oh, wow. Kind of pretty eclectic, nice career there.
Yeah, so the theme of this one is kind of the reaction and shock in regards to Barry, Sally, and Jean. A lot of Barry, Sally, and Jean. I'm just kind of noticing just now. There's a lot of correlation there. Anyway, so the dinner scene at the top, they're all like having dinner with each other. I love the eyes of Bill Hader. I can't say this now. I just love the big Muppet eyes of Bill Hader. They convey so much. So much emotion. I just love like the angering, and we're doing the sound thing again. Of course, it's like, "Hey, so Bobby, how you doing?" Just, no, my name's actually. That's my favorite Barry. My favorite Barry title card right there. It's just like it's so great. Anyway, so the episode's about this whole episode's about Barry dealing with the anger we set up in the last episode. Him dealing with the anger and the danger that it poses when it's unleashed. Because he takes it on Mayor Beck when they're on the shooting range. Because remember, he almost just to tell Mayor Beck to focus. He takes the gun like an inch away from his head just to show you how good a shot. He's like, "Hey, focus, man."
And ironically enough, that's like the moment that really commands Mayor Beck's respect for Barry. I think that's the real like you pushed me moment.
And again, it's occurring to me right now in the moment after the rewatch of, oh my God, that lesson is literally the undoing. He took his mind, he took his focus off, and that's what happened. Literally.
Exactly.
Oh man, it's really good. Oh man, it's even better on the rewatch. I love the first. Okay,
it is. You see why I decided to just do the 4-hour movie method with this thing?
It's good. So let's see. So Barry and Sally. So Barry is reassuring her that you can be the person you say you are, which is basically Barry's whole premise of the show here. Again, you can be who you say you are, Sally. Again, if you say you stood up to him, that's who you can be. Just embrace the lie for the greater personal good, which again pays off with Sally's story, ultimately embracing the lie. Which again, there's a very interesting way, because Barry does flip-flop a lot with this. He kind of flip-flops from truth to the lie. It's such an interesting way we do that.
Yeah.
Right. So in doing so, this leads to, and basically in embracing the lie, this leads to Sam being looped again. Remember, think about this. Think about this string of events, Tiki. She embraces the lie, which brings Sam there in the first place. And in doing so, this leads to the danger at the hotel that she finds herself in, the trauma being reopened, but also she is in grave danger. Like I was worried for her in the episode, like I was like almost like a horror movie. Like, don't go to the hotel. He's baiting you. He's luring you into. He knows the cafe's closed. Don't you see?
That whole thing of he knows the cafe is closed. That's definitely like a big sort of like red flag right there for sure. And what I like about this moment, what I like about that whole setup there is that it shows that in spite of how much Sally wants to be the kind of like the archetypical like Brie Larson strong independent woman, she's really not in some situations, and it's a character flaw that she knows and she's very well aware of, but she struggles to fix. And Dragon, I honestly find that super relatable.
Yeah.
And then, of course, one of my favorite moments of the whole season when Barry, first of all, I love the moment where Jermaine and Eric are playing the virtual reality game and Barry just bursts into the apartment, cocks the gun right in front of them as they have the VR headgear on.
Now, my favorite part of that, though, Tiki, there's a great dramatic sense to that, too, on a rewatch.
Yes.
Barry's big character flaw is that when he gets angry, and as we learn in the flashback, he gets careless. And that's an example of him being careless. Sure. It's funny, but also an example of him being careless. And of course, the bigger kind of poster moment is when, of course, he almost kills Sally by accident. Which, given that flashback,
that's a great moment, and I love the look on Bill Hader's face. And you're right, it is the poster moment where he's just like, oh.
And those Muppet eyes, again, great timing. Again, it's hilarious, yet at the same time really dramatic. And the look on his face, again, he conveyed comedy and drama perfectly on his face just now. It's like, oh no, but at the same time, it's, oh God. Again, knowing what we know in that flashback, he very easily, he could have killed me.
Oh, that's very true. Oh, I didn't even think about that. It could have been.
And he knows that. That's why he's so angry himself in the car. And that's why he really needs to talk to somebody. Oh my God, he almost did it again.
Right. Oh, that's such a good call, Dragon. I didn't even pick up on that.
Exactly. So let's see. So again, Sally, she's called out on her lie by her abuser, and this shakes her confidence, and this leads to kind of Barry questioning after that action that he does in the hotel, it makes him wonder: is it possible to actualize the lie like I was telling Sally? Can I actualize this? Like, am I just going to fall into the same habits? And of course, this leads to the big Gene and Barry scene. So Gene, early in it, we got to say this because it pays off, and then the Gene and Barry scene real quick. So Gene and Leo had a breakthrough. Gene made an effort, and this paid off. Where again, Gene's making some failed attempts, and Leo actually picked up on it, and he gave him some strawberry. He basically gave him strawberry points for making the effort there, and he wants to make an effort. Like, give me your number, Dad. Like, I'll call you. We'll do lunch or something. Sometimes, and of course later on says, Barry, my son gave me strawberries.
Strawberries.
Okay, Winkler is just Winkler knows how to make a line. That's what like 9 years or so of Happy Days will do to you, man. You know how to sell a line. So Gene and Barry. Interestingly, Fugues tries to protect Barry after they've kind of patched things up in episode 3. They've reconnected, and they basically Barry, of course, had that great moment with Loach. Like, oh God, they're not. This isn't helping me at all. Where Fugues is now besties with Barry again, and basically he's trying to protect Barry by calling him, saying, Barry, I know you want to talk to me right now. Do not come to the hotel I told you to come to. Don't do it. And in doing so, very interestingly, taking the father, again, there is kind of a war, the war of the father figures that pays off in episodes 7 and 8 starts here. The war of the father figures technically starts here. Where Fugues, to protect his surrogate son, tells him not to show up, and that drives him into the arms and forging a major bond with Kusanao. So Barry embraces the truth. He embraces the truth, and miraculously, it works. Barry is given an opportunity to talk about murder.
Mm-hmm.
Which, interesting, we did at the start of the season. Now we have a bigger, a more intimate opportunity where he talked about murder in front of the class, and now he's talking about a more specific murder with Gene with the Korengal flashback.
And he killed a man, and he got away with it.
As Gene loves to point out. But my favorite thing on the season 2, I guess if I had another favorite thing, is that I love how we take something that was just kind of for a narrative thing in season 1. We kind of look at it in a different context here. Where again, we look at Barry Luck. Barry Luck, complete opposite of Parker Luck, by the way. Barry Luck is that he gets away with everything scot-free. And we have an example of Barry got away with a murder scot-free, but again, at a dark consequence. He got away with an evil act. He got away with something, not an evil act, but he got away with a really violent, disturbing act. Again, I love that Barry intentionally did not do anything horrible, but again, times of war, confusion, again, just he snapped. His anger got the better of him, but again, it was an evil thing that he did, but not evil in intent. So
it's definitely something that's going to leave a scar for the rest of a woman's life, and it ruined people's lives in the process. God knows how many people in that family were affected by that.
Yeah, he orphaned a family by a father.
Yeah.
And given the whole fatherly angle of this season, it's kind of interesting that he killed the father. I wonder if that was intentional or not. The fact of the matter is, he got his buddy from earlier, Albert. He got shot in the face, and then Barry got so angry he assumed it was coming from like the neighboring next closest location. He burst in there, he shot a father, and just assuming he was the killer. And of course, the soldiers like pin him to the wall, saying, "What are you effing nuts? No, the sniper was like on the roof. You basically just murdered someone indiscriminately." So this is so Barry went to a mental hospital and Fuchs
got away with it.
Exactly. So Gene's obviously a little shaken by this, but again, he's opened up the Kusnau.
He's shaken in a good way. He's shaken in like an honest, like, holy shit, I just saw honest theater kind of way. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and again, this is the big what on the Kusnau side of things, like the what, and again, I love this to me. Show you this season is in such good hands. Not that I needed proof of it, but like yes, Kusnau's open to the possibility, and just like there you go. Don't tell him this. Like you and I, we get this, but they're kids, man.
They're children, Barry.
They will crap their pants if you tell them this. So they're on the same page finally. Well, he knows why Barry's hesitant to do the scene. I love that they're on the same page finally, but still Kusnau charges him for like a private class session. Private billing.
Perfect example of what you were bringing up of Kusnau, being very authentic and genuine, but still self-promoting at the same time.
Yep. And again, we have the premise here in the scene between he and Kusnau. It's like, if we can't change Barry, we have to be able to change. I believe that we can change. If we can't, we're in deep trouble. And that's the whole premise of the show. And I believe, do you think I'm evil, Mr. Kusnau? Says, I think you are deeply human. That's a beautiful. That's Henry Winkler bringing the magic, man. That's him bringing the charm, bringing the heartwarming comfort. That's what you want to hear. And of course, Barry will get giddy schoolgirls like telling Fuchs, like, Fuchs, you won't believe it. I've been accepted. Gene accepts me. I've got cornballs a fading memory. I'm as happy as a daisy. And of course, Fuchs throughout this whole time is trying to escape unsuccessfully, and he's like, Barry, listen, you gotta stop talking right now. Of course, Loach got it all. Loach has some blackmail material, and we reveal. And this to me was this is why episode 4 is one of my favorites. Loach just kind of comes in and basically it seems like this is one of the ultimate match. This and the next episode are the examples of the ultimate matchstick moments for Barry.
Because you think at the time, like, what are they going to do? Is Barry going to kill Loach and it's going to be like just another body piled up?
The classic matchstick moment of how the heck is Barry going to get out of this one? Like, Barry's luck seemingly has run out. And again, the Barry luck. Again, we have now the dramatic context to it here. We're in there's a cost to this Barry luck. But again, like, what? How the heck is he going to get out of this? He's gone. He's done for. He's gone, or he's caught. The show's over, man. I don't know what else to do. And he's copped to it. He's admitted to it. He's screwed by it before. And Loach says, it's like, you know what it's like to love someone, have them taken away from you. Look, I know you care about Moss. I'm not talking about Moss. I'm talking about my ex-wife. And I want you to kill Ronnie Prox, and you kill Ronnie Prox, and this all goes away. What? Just the perfect ending. Yes. Okay, let's talk about this one. This is a big one. I think it's going to go by real quick. Let's talk about Ronnie and Lily.
Yeah, this is going to go down as the fly of Barry, right?
It is. Yeah, I full-heartedly agree with you. It's Fly. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a brilliant standalone episode. I mean, what more is there to say about it? It's like in terms of advancing the plot, it's probably the least plot heavy of the season, but in terms of style, it's definitely the best episode of the season, bar none.
Yes. So this is directed by Bill.
Cinematic quality.
This is directed by Bill Hader, and he directed the first 3 episodes of the first season, including The Unsafe Choice, which is one of my favorites and has one of my favorite lines in it, too. It has the little, guns at the register, Barry. Anyway, sorry. So this is the standout bottle episode, and basically this episode economizes the whole lesson of the season. No half measures. This whole episode is Mike Ehrmantraut would have a field day watching this episode. So this episode is all no half measures. This is exactly why you don't do any half measures. Because again, Barry does not kill anyone. He goes to extreme lengths not to kill someone, and things get worse for everyone involved. And right off the bat, I mean, just to hit the highlights here. I mean, this episode is a very Tarantino-esque opening, and I love it.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's from Barry's point of view. It's all dialogue.
The whole thing is very Tarantino-esque.
I'm saying the first act is has that Tarantino dialogue. It's from Barry's point of view. It's kind of like it's kind of like a Harvey Keitel, like kind of like the guy giving you all the instructions on what to do, all that sort of stuff. It's just saying, and you have the hi, I've been hired by Detective Loach wants me to kill you. I'm not going to do that. That's a great opening for the episode. Like, I'm not going to kill you, and he gives him this whole, this whole listing of okay, here's what we're going to do. You have family in Chicago. We're going to take you there. And I love the visual of Barry. And the idea is Barry is wearing the clothes from the workplace. That's why he has not like a black ski mask. He has kind of like this orange peach looking ski mask with the sunglasses he got all from his job. I just love that.
Lululemon tracksuit.
Lululemon tracksuit. Yep, gets it from work. I was like, gets it from work. I love it. So again, I love just the moment. I hope you had this moment too when watching the episodes. Like he walks in that room with all the Taekwondo medals. Like, oh no.
Yeah. He's like, oh, hey, that's cool. Good for you, man.
Barry does not know the danger that he's in. So we have a really great grounded action at the start of this episode with him. Again, it starts off grounded. It starts off really grounded, and it gets a little supernatural. But we have this grounded action at the start with again, it's a buy that they both can endure it without being knocked out or like bleeding half to death.
It very much reminds me of Cutman. Like it's one-on-one Cutman action.
It is very Cutman. Here's the thing: it's almost a one. They have cuts, but it's barely cuts. It's there are slots. There's the majority of the action's a one. But then when we take it into another room, then we have a few cuts. But the point being, it's very grounded. And then of course things turn supernatural with the kid, with Lily. So Lily, okay, here's how they did Lily. So Lily, the stunt coordinator, had a friend whose daughter was really adept at stunts. So basically, there was some wire work, of course, but she did all these stunts herself, though. Mm-hmm. And again, really good at them, too. I mean, really scarily good at them. Again, she has this supernatural. Again, she scared the crap out of me, too. Like, oh, my God. Like, I didn't expect this in Barry. She's like jumping from bookcases, like mid-fling, and she's just like, it's like climbing up.
But she's on the table, and she just grabs the knife, and it's like, oh, fuck.
Yep, and of course, like she's like climbing trees and just I just love it. She's randomly like climbing trees and like just perching on the roof for hours. Like what? Well, she's not running to get the neighbor or anything. She's like the one vulnerable moment of being a child. Because here's the thing: we raised the issue of so killing children. We have like an ethical dilemma of killing children in the episode, but of course we undercut it hilariously with the whole it's a more ethical dilemma Barry would be dealing with here. Which again, that's the turn I thought they were going to make. Like, oh no, the kid saw his face, and the dilemma. Like Barry again is in a position where he doesn't want to kill the kid, obviously. But again, that's the question. I thought, maybe they're going there, but no, they went to completely polar opposite direction. Like, oh my God, she's not human. She ain't human. She's biting Fuchs's face, and just like she's like on the top of the car while it's driving. Just,
and then of course the most surreal moment of the show, I think, is right after she bites Fuchs's face and jumps out of the car, and then her face is just all bloody, and she just gives that guttural roar. And we never see her again. Nope. And I hope we don't ever see her again. Part of me does too, but yeah, that's the thing. I mean, that girl is. I mean, she's technically a loose end, but I feel like this is such a perfect standalone episode that it is. Yeah. I agree with you. So the big thematic thing, again, is not really a whole lot outside just kind of the cool, like, oh my God, did I just see what I thought I saw in a good way? Right. Barry, the big stuff. The big story take is that Barry, he it's a hit gone wrong. Barry, he's basically being stitched up by Fuchs. It leads to a lot of great. I love when we hit the real full circle drugstore again, where they go to the same drugstore at the start of the episode and at the end of the episode. And of course, just tells Barry, it's just, I need stitches because I'm dying. Remember?
Stitches thread, and he completely forgot to. So of course he's using the old super glue trick, just terrible at making it. It's basically Fuchs is terrible at everything. It's again seemingly until the very end. Again, Fuchs he's kind of terrible at everything. And let's see. So he's of course he super glues his hands to the wheel, which is just hysterical, and that's why. And basically he super glues his hands to the wheel so we can get that callback from the flashback. So the flashback is Barry in kind of a dream-like sequence as he's passing out from blood loss and just all the pain and everything. We reveal, okay, so Fuchs pulled the strings to get Barry out. So when everyone's surrounded by their loved ones, all Barry has left in the world, because his father's dead at this point. The only thing Barry has is Fuchs, a very evil-looking Fuchs in a black suit, just like kind of nudging his head like,
very like devil, like kind of like making a deal with the devil type scenario.
And again, so Fuchs is the this episode indicates Fuchs is the representation of the evil that Barry thinks he is, where he gives him like the head nod of like, come on. Again, he has to do that later on because his hands are glued to the wheel, like saying, come on, with the head motions. That's Barry's wake-up call at the very end. Like, again, Barry has a moment of change where he'll make the same choice, but now he knows. Like, now he has a conscience. I don't want to make this choice anymore. I'm not just making it out of a place of ignorance. I do not want to make this choice. Of course, the big action sequence in the drugstore so again, amazing.
I love how cordial Barry is still trying to be with Ronnie.
That's the thing. I love how Barry is just he does not want to kill this guy. He keeps telling him, look, your windpipe's broken. Do not fight me. Again, he's trying to save him at every twist and turn. I thought the guy kind of died by his own hand. I'm like, well, the idiot just kind of went at him with nunchucks. We had a busted windpipe. What's wrong with this guy? And then, of course, in the drugstore, so he just with a neck brace, the guy's still not learning, and he just attacks everyone. Here's the weird thing. He just attacks anyone in his way, too. So Ronnie Proxton's a nut job. So then, of course, I just love that even a bullet through the face, a bullet through the cheek doesn't take this guy down by Loach. Loach can't even kill this guy. He kills Loach. And again, Loach is quite a stone-cold character, too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, he kills Loach in one blow, right?
Yeah, he killed Loach with like a backflipper. He kills him So remember, too, Loach is a stone-cold guy, too, in this episode. Because remember, Loach, he's orchestrating all this, and he was going to blame, says, oh, yeah, you have another suspect here with a gun, and he basically was about to shoot Barry.
Yeah.
Again, Loach, we made fun of the marriage in the first season. Did you imagine it going this way at all?
No, not at all.
Like, he was the guy crying in episode 1. That was his joke. Anyway, so and of course then there's so all that then that's the big matchstick moment of the season. If I had to pick one, this is the real matchstick moment of the season. Where oh my god, so
like what are we gonna do next? Like like basically all the conflict of the season that we've been building up to has kind of been resolved in this sort of like not Deus Ex Machina kind of way because it's not that lazy, but kind of like in a way that represents the Barry luck that you're talking about.
Yes, and again, Barry Luck with a lot of again, all these people, again, 2 people had to die because Barry wouldn't kill one person. People got hurt and they died, and of course, it was a big spectacle. The point is like consequences for the action. They went through all of this again. The whole half measures lesson here is like again, you could save yourself all this trouble if you kind of cut out the simple solution. If you just follow through on the simple solution. All right, so that brings us to episode 6.
Yeah, episode 6. The truth has a ring to it.
It was directed by Alec Berg, who I'll remind you directed the best episodes of season 1. He directed episodes 7 and 8.
Nice.
So the theme of this one
out with Barry kind of cutting ties with Fuchs and that sort of leading the way towards the end game of the season.
Yep, and of course this episode's about kind of the harsh truths. It's about that's what this whole episode's about. It's about harsh truth, and of course Barry lays out the harsh truth to Fuchs, which has dramatic consequences. Where he says, like, look, you're out of moves. Fuchs, without me, you bring nothing to the table. You're out of moves. Which that line specifically is going to really haunt him. That's going to be Fuchs' catchphrase from this point forward in the series. Out of moves, eh? Out of moves. Oh boy. So again, I kind of read it as this on a rewatch thing. So as long as Fuchs lives, because remember Barry just could have let Fuchs die at the end of the last season. As long as Fuchs lives, Barry's darkness will return.
Mm-hmm.
And again, the whole half measures of it all. Okay, anyway, so Hank and Company. Let's talk about that.
Oh, God, yeah.
So at the start of things, like with Barry. So at the start of things with Barry.
Oh, Barry. Oh, you don't even know, man. It's about to go off.
I love how Hank and company, it's a love fest for Barry. They all love Barry. They're all very grateful to him. Again, he helped train them, and he kind of believed in him and stuff. And he goes, Barry's just really nonchalant about it. They're all like, "Oh my god, we love Barry. He's our favorite." Mayor Beck specifically, again, and Mayor Beck thanks him. "Thank you for giving me purpose." And of course, that line very haunting after he broke up with Fugues. That's the line of, like, again, you gave me purpose as Fugues gave Barry purpose when he needed it. So again, it's the next, so basically the next generation of Fugues. Next generation of Barry is what he's kind of. Is what existing in Mayor Beck and given his fate is very telling how Barry thinks of himself.
Oh, yeah.
So of course, the pin. We get the pin here. And I love that the pin, to me, again, it's Hank with a really pleasant gesture. He has to try to have a moment with me. This pin translates to "the debt has been paid." And Hank is a man of his word. The truth, Tiki, is that Hank is a man of his word, and that, no, I'm not going to make you join us and kill, because the deal was you was train us, and that'll be good enough. And he sends him off there, and he's giving him like a heartfelt thank you within the accordion guy.
Really, man? Really? You just took this moment with your accordion and you fucked it.
So interestingly, that's the harsh truth right there, the truthful rant of, like, you just ruined my moment. Just calls him out right there in front of everybody.
Like, he tries so hard to be polite, but in this moment, because of course his relationship with Barry is very important to him. It's just like, he doesn't.
I agree with
it,
I agree with Hank, by the way.
Oh, I do too. I do think that it was a very inappropriately timed moment for sure.
Of course, Hank's ultimate undoing is the fact that, again, the one time Hank is not pleasant. The accordion guys sold him out when they're trying to get the drop on the Burmese, and he's trying to.
I love that, just because I feel like it's just like you literally couldn't have written a better comeuppance for Hank than the accordion guy.
It's just perfect. There's no other way to say it. It's perfection. So let's see. So okay, so other than that, okay, so Barry and Sally. So they have Barry and Sally, they have a little conversation by the stairs, which of course I love that, by the stairs, that's where they first met. It's a little callback.
Mm-hmm.
They have they have one of your favorite bits here where, like she's saying, I met with Sam at the hotel, and of course Barry was there, but he says,
"What?"
So Sally is at a shaken confidence after her encounter with Sam, as no one could blame her. That's a big shaken confidence. You're gonna screw up my whole life, man. Basically saying, again, calling her out. She is lying, but again, like, how can you blame her for lying after what he did to her? So Barry is encouraging the truth after that shaken confidence. Like, go for the truth here. Cycle. We have a line too in the episode about, like, this. She's having a read through of the script where she's talking about the cycle you can't break, which parallels Barry's story. He's in a cycle that he can't break. Again, the whole starting now idea. He just can't break the cycle of being a killer, despite not wanting to be one. So, a little parallel in the story that Sally's telling here. So Barry's trying to sell the truth, and all but again, basically everyone, there's always a cost of the confrontation. That there's always a cost within the confrontation here, and especially with Fugues, that all comes down upon his head with this episode, where Fugues, of course, seeks revenge because of this all.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I'm sorry, Fugues laid out. I remember what I was trying to say here. So Fugues actually laid out the ultimate truth of the episode when he spelled out the Barry. Look, they're only going. Gene accepts you. He accepts you for for the murders overseas here, but he doesn't know about Janice. He will never accept you because of what you did to Janice. Like, that's the real truth, and you'll never be able to get past that. So that's the ultimate truth. There's always going to be a cost. If you can sell this truth as much as you want, real or not, but you'll never, it's never going to be the real truth. You're never going to have what you want, which is a very interesting moment for Fugues.
Yeah, and it definitely kind of puts into play the plan that Fugues is going to develop as we go on.
Speaking of which, Fugues, he's literally searching for truth. He is searching at the cabin. He's searching for Moss, which is representative of the truth. And of course, incompetent as Fugues is, I love that, incompetent as he is, his determination, despite his literally falling and stumbling around, getting caught in the wilderness and everything, despite the really long, intense, his determination his determination is what finds him the car, and of course he's really haunting. Last note of the episode is he's following Kusanao, which really creeps me. Like, oh no, poor Kusanao, the war of the father figures, man. It's in full bloom.
Mm-hmm.
So,
all right, that leads us to episode 7. The
wait, no, there's the big choke scene, Tiki. We have to talk about the big choke scene.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. My bad.
Okay, so using the emotional truth in the scene, that's the big lesson here. Basically, he pulls the episode 7 trick from season 1, where Barry he's channeling the murder of Moss and in his actions in Korngal, where he's doing the scene with Sally.
Basically, he's pissed off at himself more than anything.
Yes, he's very angry at himself, and he's kind of embracing the truth in that scene, basically all the emotions that are within the scene. And he flips the big moment from the trailer here. We finally get like episode 6 into the whole thing. He just gets so pissed off, and again, he taps into his anger a little bit, which is it's kind of a dangerous thing here, where he just flips over the table really, and goes for the choke. And again, it makes you wonder, like, Barry is in control of this scene. He's doing the whole like 1, 2, 3 choke, that whole thing. But we knowing what we know, I was on the edge of my seat. Oh God, is he going to lose control here? Is he going to go for the full choke? Is it going to be a BoJack Horseman thing?
Exactly what I was worried about.
Yeah. Is it going to go full BoJack?
Full BoJack? Yeah, right.
So again, I was
very concerned about that.
So again, in facing the truth, this earns Sally points with her agent and the Gersh, and with Gersh and everything. So this does win points for Sally. Sally does get places because of this episode, at least it seems. And Gene faces the truth that Janice isn't coming back, and of course, as he goes to the same place, he orders 2 glasses of wine. Take the other wine glass back. Gene's moving on, and the minute Gene moves on, the bad stuff happens to him in the next episode. So, all right,
episode 7, the audition.
Pretty straightforward. It's about the audition. So.
Pretty much.
It's directed by Alec Berg again. So again, this is about. Overall, this is about how actors respond and get auditions. So that's about as much as I can read into it. So
I think that we have by far the best bit of Sarah Goldberg acting in this, with the monologue in this episode.
She has the great monologue about kind of how actresses are tied into Hollywood today. I think that was a really great. That was a really Sarah Goldberg.
More specifically, though, I think that it's very relatable, not just in terms of like how it relates to the acting world, because of course it definitely ties into the acting world for sure. But let's just say, as an example, Dragon, I am someone where one of the character flaws with me, I'm getting a little personal here. One of the big character flaws with me is I find it very difficult to accept when friends get more successful than me, Dragon. I'm honestly one of those people that's kind of like that. But here's the thing. I'm not angry at them. I'm more disappointed in myself for not having achieved that same level of success. And so essentially what I dig about this moment from Sally's point of view is that, it's kind of like Barry just kind of stumbles ass backwards into it without doing any work. And I love how she admits that there's going to be an insane level of conflicting emotions, but by the same point, she's happy for him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. That to me humanized Sally more than any other moment in the whole series for me.
Yeah, because she does something in this episode that could be really misconstrued, and I think they're all working a tightrope, but that scene does buy it back if you had any doubts in the earlier scene. Because remember, she's presented with an offer. Remember, she does get a job offer from essentially, basically, she gets sort of a not David Shore, but remember, it's I forget what the guy's name. The guy's name's a parody.
Aaron Ryan, I think.
Yeah, Aaron Ryan, I believe, is supposed to be kind of a parody of Aaron Sorkin.
I think so. Yeah.
That's what I was thinking.
By the way, Aaron Sorkin would never come up with anything that dumb.
Well, I mean, sure. I think name-wise, I think they're going.
Yeah.
The point a known, kind of stylistic, kind of a way a guy does a show, sort of thing.
Sure.
Anyway, so it's a Payback Ladies. Payback Ladies basically is, of course, they had a period joke on the front, but Payback Ladies, it's their time of the month. That whole thing. And the point is, so Barry and Sally are definitely the focal point of the episode here. Where Barry is lucking in the work because he was loud and tall, essentially, which again speaks to a lot of time Hollywood. Ideally, not with Jay Roach movies. But first of all, I love the fact they got Jay Roach of all directors. I mean, Jay Roach is like it's kind of the perfect achievable level of like success. For Jay Roach, you know what? Good director, hasn't done anything really massive.
Remind me what Jay Roach has done.
I know what he's. Here's the thing. I know he did a movie recently. I'm blanking. I know the famous thing he's done. The Meet the Parents franchise. It's all Jay Roach.
Oh, okay.
That's the big thing he's known for. He's done other things. I know. I'm blanking on what the most recent thing was. But Jay Roach has. I want to say he did Frost Nixon, but no, wait. No, it was Ron Howard. No, the point being, wait, was that? Yeah, it was Ron Howard.
Ron Howard. Yeah.
The point being, Jay Roach. He's I know. Jay Roach has done something akin today. He's done a biopic of some kind. Anyway, so I'm trailing off. The point being, Jay Roach is kind of a good achievable director in terms of he's kind of like I could buy that you work your way up, not to like a Spielberg or anything. But
sure,
Jay Roach,
sure.
Like Jay Roach is attainable Hollywood. Where again, he's more of a down to earth kind of like he basically after Meet the Parents, he hasn't been going super blockbuster. He's been doing more like super like summer movie. He's been doing like more like kind of quieter movies by Jay Roach. Anyway, point being, so Barry's just kind of lucked into this because he's loud and he's tall. And again, a lot of times Hollywood, they'll go for like someone who fits like basically it's short notice and they need someone to kind of
and Dragon, build. If I'm going to make a speculation, I think he does get this part.
I do too. I'm 100% convinced. Given how this goes and given the luck and given how Jay Roach is intrigued by very little, you know?
I can't imagine Barry actually taking it at this point.
It'd be awfully funny if he did.
We'll see.
Again, if it's the last season, I think he takes it.
I'm just saying, like, is he going to go on the run after what happens?
What I'm saying is I think he's going to be like midway through production when this comes out. I think. One thing I'm saying, if it's the last season, then there's going to be midway through. He's going to be in production on the Jay Roach thing.
No, but I'm saying the character, like I'm saying after the monastery, you know, the big like massacre essentially, like is Barry gonna have to go into hiding? I
don't think so. I think he, as far as he's concerned, he's killed everyone there and they're Chechens, so I think he can get away with it.
Okay.
Anyway, so let's see. So Barry's looking into this. So again, the true life. So again, there's a double side to the true actor's experience. We talked about Barry and of course Sally on the flip side of things. Sally is basically, she's being kind of typecast because of her experience. That's essentially what's happening to her here. And of course, they kind of literally her agents, not Lindsay, but the other agents, they're telling her, like, Me Too. There's Me Too and there's Hands Off. I didn't know Hands Off was a thing. It kind of sounds catchier than Me Too, if I'm being frank. The point being, I don't know if they made that.
You're the Me Too. You're right.
I don't know if that's a real. Look, forgive me if I sound ignorant, folks. I don't know if that's a real thing because it sounds made up, but it sounds like really good. Hands Off. It sounds a lot catchier. Anyway, point being.
I mean, not that the Me Too movement is about marketability or anything, of course, but.
That's yeah, you're right. Anyway, point being, so you know, Sally, she's Barry. Literally, let me put it into perspective as they put in the episode. Barry skipped 5 callback sessions into a session with the casting director as well as the actual director, and he was spotted by Lindsay's boss.
Right.
Just with a little exercise. I didn't know that's how
auditions work. That's cool.
Exactly, and I just love that. Like Eugene's also stupefied. Are they reading extras now?
What? Whose dick did you have to suck in a previous life?
So again, the project is he plays, I believe, JT.
Even though Gene sees the absurdity in the situation, he's still super proud.
He is. Again, it's kind of that fatherly angle there. He's super proud of his protege. And again, I think I'm part of Gene's just impressed like the actor.
Dragon, he's proud of his boy.
If there's any season we're going to make the proud of your boy reference, it's got to be. He's proud of his boy.
I want you to know that when I was watching the Aladdin remake, I was kind of holding my breath in the first act, like, oh my God, would they do it?
Are you telling me out of all the freaking, of all the changes, of all the things they could have changed, they didn't do proud of your boy?
They didn't do proud of your boy.
Oh, man.
I would have lost it if they did proud of your boy. I really would have.
I mean, you know what? If they're going to get a second bite at the Aladdin apple, and Howard Ashman loved that song, they really couldn't have just. Really, they couldn't have.
All right, to be fair, Dragon. I liked Aladdin. All right, we'll talk about it on Memoirs, but I liked it.
All right.
But anyways.
Sorry, getting back on point here. Point being, So, okay. Well, anyway, so, but yes, Gene is proud of him, but also, again, I think it's like kind of again the one he had the least faith in is kind of delivered the most and is getting the most attention. I think it's also occurring to Gene in some variety.
Oh,
And Barry's shown a great deal of potential this season, but before that point, I mean, Barry again has been kind of the hardest student to reach. Who again is now kind of showing great promise with the scene he performed and everything. So of course, Gene also has one of the best lines, one of the great Henry Winkler deliveries here, where so the project is swim instructors, and it's just like he's looking how many copies of this he made? No, it's just one, and they have 4 scenes. 4 scenes. And he flips through, it's like, oh no. We're just a bunch of swim instructors here. They can't cut that. It's the title, Barry. It's one of our favorite things, Tiki. It's when they have the title worked into the thing, and it's like they can't cut that. Again, of course, like any actor being afraid of being cut out of the final product, they can't cut that. That's the title. But you get a sense Gene has had that happen to him a lot of the time, where he's been cut out of things. Anyway. So I love how Gene maps out the 4 scenes, like the arc of the character breakdown with the 4 scenes. For again, bear in mind, in perspective, I love the story of this. It is laid out here, where essentially it's a man. Again, it sounds like a Better Call Saul, a more gross bathroom humor relating. And Better Call Saul would do this too, but they do it better. Not saying this isn't good. The point being, they would do like a whole, a bathroom humor meets in a pie joke as well. It's kind of a fusion of those two things, where it's like a man craps in a pie to get another man to eat it for revenge. That's the story. And again, he's going through the emotional arc of it's just the man craps in a pie. Relief, no, more anger, more revenge. So just again, we're talking about a man craps in a pie. That's the big payoff of this. It's one of the big payoffs for the season of Barry becoming an actor.
Dragon, I really wouldn't it be great if we get Barry season 3, everything wraps up, and maybe hypothetically Barry season 3 is about Barry wrapping up all the threads with Fuchs and Hank and everything while he's filming this movie. And then wouldn't it be great if as an epilogue to Barry we get the full movie?
That'd be hilarious. That would be really It says 4 scenes. I wonder if it's like a TV movie of some kind. I'm not sure. Maybe it's like a pilot. I don't know. It could be there's a chance it could be a pilot because it says 4 scenes. That implies pilot to me. I don't know. Anyway.
No, I sure.
Okay. It's okay.
They very much emphasize the feature because Sally's like, by the way, it's a feature means movie, Barry, just FYI.
Oh, yeah, you're right. I forgot. Yeah, you're right. Okay, let's see. So, I already mentioned the Sally stuff. So again, she's worked so hard to be recognized, and then at the end of the day, she's recognized for her trauma, not her cause, not her talent, which it's really hurtful to her. Okay, let's see. So Hank has an eye-opening confession, basically, as he's about to be burned alive on a bus with all his buddies, and his eye-opening. You love this scene. Do you remember any of it?
Oh, I mean, he's it's just kind of the basis of his at the end of the day, I might look like this stone cold killer badass, but really I nice guy, and it's of course the big ironic thing is that he's totally unaware that we already talked about how he's self-aware that he's a nice guy, but he is unaware that he comes across that way. You know what I mean?
Yes, and of course, the guy's I belong in hospitality or the hotel business.
Which I would love to see Hank running a hotel. That would be great.
Remember, Tiki has a great confidence within himself because he says he'd be able to run several hotels. He's really confident about the hotel thing.
Oh yeah.
Of course, as this is happening, Mayor Beck saves their bacon, even saves Hank's bacon. But remember, he saves Hank's bacon more out of a debt that he owes to him more than Hank again. Hank essentially says, "Guys, I'm sorry, I landed and all." He just showed his belly that they've all lost a great deal of respect for Hank.
Mm-hmm.
Hank's their friend, but he is no longer their leader. So, and of course, he's just basically Hank's now just trying to keep his old friends. And let's see, so Gene, Gene was supposed to come in with Barry's audition to help him out. He's asking, "Hey, Hank, hey, Gene, can you bring a pie?" Because everyone's bringing a pie for the audition. So Gene is actually at the cabin with Fugues under the guise of Kenneth Goulet. Of course, a reference to Robert Goulet, I believe. Goulet's not a common. Yeah. Goulet can't be a common last name. Let's be honest here. Come on. Anyway, so here we I'm just going to sound insane, Tiki, but again, I think if any show's going to let me get away with this. we paralleled the revenge story of the pie. Because remember, the revenge story of the pie is he creps in the pie to try to get another guy to eat it. And he ends up eating it himself. So again, the revenge story is kind of paralleled here, where again, it's, you know, there's it's a revenge of his own making here. Where again, Barry's revenge is his own action, his own truth that he's trying to, again, the truth being the operative thing, you know.
Oh.
So, and I love Gene and Fugue's scene, though. I love the two father figures having this unaware conversation with each other. It's like those scenes in the Albuquerque verse. We have these two characters having an interaction that they would never have otherwise. Like Gene, like, you know, like Jimmy McGill meets Gus Fring. It's like one of those scenes, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
Almost, where you know, or like Lawson the gun guy and Mike. That's the better example. It's like one of those scenes where again, like Gene is super proud of Barry, and he's, you know, he's like a son to me. That Barry, he's going places, and Fugues is insanely jealous, and you can read that he's insanely jealous. And then of course Barry, he kind of wows. I assume he wows the audition with a very disinterested audition, because that's how Hollywood works sometimes. Sometimes just he's tall, right? How tall is he?
The way I read it is that I feel like it's like I feel like the casting director is like, oh man, he could be like, this guy could be like a great straight man to our over the top comedy.
Want a little pie?
Want a little pie?
What if our pie had that as his catchphrase?
Oh,
or Harry Osborn. What if Harry Osborn had that one little pie? Remember, the Green Goblin traditionally has like has kind of like a high voice in like the old animated show. Like, what if he had like, I don't have like a Skeletor voice? What if that was his? What if that was Harry Osborn's like new Goblin voice? Like, what if that was, hey, Spider-Man, one little pie?
Oh God.
As a revenge for, hey, Peter, remember when I did the whole Mary Jane thing to you and I paralleled it to pie? One little pie. Okay, anyway, pie jokes aside. Okay, talk about the severity of the ending, though. So the severity. Oh my goodness, my favorite Henry Winkler is a dramatic Henry Winkler. My favorite part of the whole movie of Click is the whole goodbye. Is the last scene Adam Sandler has with his father, Henry Winkler. Most powerful scene in that movie, along with the almost death scene. Those two scenes, most powerful scenes in that entire, all the dramatic stuff in Click rocks. Movie itself, yeah, not so much. Point being, Henry Winkler here, basically, so Fugues takes Gene to the trunk, pops it open. He sees Moss for the first time. I mean, he thought Moss is either dead or just gone. Point being, Moss is out of the equation. Moss isn't coming back. You see, whenever we don't see Moss's body, we see her legs, but we see Henry Winkler's reaction, and he's just devastated. We get the highlight of it in the next episode. He's just devastated, and just like the shock on his face. And then Fugues points a gun at his head, like, oh my God, like, had no. He points the gun at his head and just click, end the episode.
All right, Dragon, I'm going to have a little bit of a nitpick here.
Yeah?
I thought that the cliffhanger with the gun was a little unnecessary, and I honestly think that it would have been a little bit more effective if basically Fugues would have just called the cops, confessed as Cousineau, you know, so we set that whole thing up, and then just end the episode with Gene standing there over the trunk and the sound of sirens coming in the distance.
Yes, but by the same token, we wouldn't have the whisper.
God damn it, you're right. We need the whisper.
Wiki, on a rewatch, here's the thing. On a rewatch, what occurred to me is that with the whisper, and you're not wrong, that would have been good, but here's the thing. I read it that Fugues, just to transition to the next episode real quick, by the way. Okay, so next episode is Berkman, I hope I'm getting the pronunciation. I hope I'm getting the meaning of this right. Berkman greater than Block. It's greater than
Block, yeah.
Right, that's I know what the symbol is. I'm trying to think if it was greater than or like the other.
It's greater than, yeah,
okay,
greater.
It is greater. Okay, Berkman greater than Block.
Because the crocodile wants to eat the thing that it likes more. Dragon.
You got crocodile. I got Pac-Man. I didn't know you got crocodile.
No, I always got crocodile at school.
You got a very straightforward Pac-Man. Plus, you draw you just draw a circle around it.
It's too angular for Pac-Man.
I mean, if you wanted to, you just draw the circle around it. You know, if you needed to. Anyway, so the point being, so Berkman greater than greater than Block here. It's directed by Bill Hader. You know, the good kind of. I think Bill Hader gets the good emotional kind of thematic episodes. So this basically, I think there's more Berkman than Block at the end of it for Barry's arc. I think again, Barry's he kind of by the ending of the episode, he kind of dives into the darkness before he dives into the actor side of things in this episode.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so continue where we left off here. So again, this continues where 7 left off in the opening. You know, rewatch. Fugues opts not to kill Kusanao, because he wants to hurt Barry in a worse way, and he makes a decision there. He could shoot him, and he's contemplating shooting him in front of Barry, or just either shooting him in front of Barry, or just shooting him. And he makes a choice like, you know what? No, I'm going to make it worse. I'm going to kind of draw this out for him. I'm going to make it worse for Barry. You know, when he whispers the thing that he whispers that we'll talk about at the very end. Yeah. Okay, so Gene. So this is what I'm talking about with Winkler. Right? Oh my God, Gene. When Barry shows up, just shell shocked, because now they hear the sirens coming. Then whether Fuchs just leaves because of the sirens, or more likely he wants to just drive the knife in deeper. He leaves, and he leaves Gene alone, and Barry just walks up there, and just again Barry without an exit strategy for the first time here. Just shows up, and Gene is broken, sobbing by the car. And Barry looks in there, and and interestingly, Barry he does something before he closes that trunk, and I think he had a plan with what happens at the end of the episode. I think he did something there. I think he put the pin in there.
I think so too.
So Barry, because there's luck, and then there's come on,
I totally agree. That has to be a setup. Yeah.
That truck was the trunk was it was delivered months ago. Well, not months, a few weeks a few weeks ago. It couldn't have been just now. It couldn't have been by happenstance. Oh no, when we did that, when we did stash the car, you had the pin because that's impossible. Mm-hmm. Anyway, point being, Gene, Barry's just closing the trunk as the sirens come, hoping okay, maybe they won't look in the trunk. So Barry is seemingly without moves here, but again, seemingly without moves when we actually pull a move off in that scene. So I think that's kind of clever on a rewatch. So Fuchs has framed Gene for Janice's murder, and as Gene is completely distraught too. So Gene is he's in a fugue state this whole episode. No pun intended. Fugue state. That's kind of funny. Point is, he got fugued, man. He's in a fugue state. He got fugued. So seriously though, Gene he's shell shocked. Maybe I wonder if he's kind of darn it. Compartmentalizing. Darn it. Compartmentalizing. He's doing that. He's doing that to he's compartmentalizing his maybe the reveal. So I wonder if he's just shell shocked by the reveal.
I think so. That's kind of how I read it as.
A little bit of both. I think the second one was kind of a delayed effect, but I think it registered, but he just hasn't quite put it together because he's still Janice's body, the decomposing body. That's
right.
The woman he loved. So Barry's luck gets him out of the situation, but his friend, Gene Kusanao, is in a worse state than he's ever seen him before. He's in peril because of Barry's luck. So, yeah, and of course Fuchs is taunting Barry with the truth will save Gene. Again, the truth that Barry's always talking up. The truth will save Gene, but it's going to condemn you. You're not so altruistic yourself, eh? You can save him anytime you want. And that's the ultimate taunt of Fuchs there. And Barry is angry. Again, Barry's just angry from the start of this episode to the end. And Barry's anger builds, and he wants vengeance on Fuchs. He wants to rain glorious, glorious, bloody vengeance on Fuchs.
Oh, yeah.
We have the big show, the big venue that we have here. Sally's second-guessing the truth. As Barry, I love that Barry just is in this angry state, just completely untenable with Sally. He's reassuring Sally here. And she just Barry's anger overwhelms him to the point where he's getting a little careless with Sally here, and Sally, she's that tense slap. Now, Tiki, I don't know about you, I thought Barry was going to lose it on stage. I thought we were going to do I think he was going to go full BoJack during this because he was angry. And
we get the full BoJack set up a couple times, and they don't go with it. But yeah, I hear you.
Again, his anger is he's on autopilot with the anger here, and
right,
no time. And he was able to hold back last time. I think this time, he was slapped him. But they did the slow mo. Tika did the wind sound.
You're right.
They did the wind sound, which makes me think
she's saying stay in that.
Yep. So Sally, basically,
if she didn't flip the table, it's possible.
I know that's the thing. It was definitely possible. So Sally, she improvised. She panics on stage and she improvises. And look, I won't get into it. I can kind of I can relate to Sally with what happens here. So Sally improvs in a gutsy way. Sally improvs in this scene. She stands up to the abuser, and again she embraces the lie of what she wanted to happen. She kind of flip flops what kind of the truth was. So she's now going with the lie of like standing up to her abuser, flipping literally flipping the table on things. She's flipping the narrative, man. She's flipping the table. I love the lighting, by the way. I forgot to mention the lighting is perfect on Barry because Barry turns and we have like half blue, half red, half bloody vengeance, half the blue, kind of the path of the actor. It's great lighting. Love it.
Sure.
So in the end, what happens with Sally is the lie and the fantasy that charms the audience. It gets her a lot of praise, and again, it parallels Barry's goal. It parallels Barry's goal of like this is what he wants, embracing the lie and everything working out great. The lie is the new truth, and it worked out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, by the way, before we have to mention her at least once, Detective May. What do you feel about Detective May?
I mean, I have a feeling that she might be the the Loach of season 3, perhaps.
Yeah. Here's the thing. May is like she's kind of this again, she fits like we have like a level of incompetence within either humanity or incompetence within the LAPD. Where with Moss she was relatable and competent. Loach on the other, she had realistic problems. Where Loach is like initially played as the rest of them were like a little incompetent. And here I think she's more nonchalant, and she's nonchalant yet firm. Like she's going after.
I feel like she is kind of like she plays the good cop, but she is professional at the same point.
I also get a sense she's not trying as hard as she should, though. Well, she's fervent. Comp. What I guess what I mean is like she's not reading social cues. Where obviously Kusanao was like he's really out of it. Like really, you're not picking up on any of this. It's just like
right. Okay, I hear you. Yeah.
He's not answering me. Therefore, de facto, he must be completely guilty.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Anyway, so Fugues. Fugues' story throughout all this. Fugues he saves Hank's bacon. Yeah, well, Fugues.
And again, the dude is a smooth talker, and we did see that more than anything else in this moment.
Out of moves, but never out of dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
So Fugues, yeah, he needs Hank to save himself as well from Barry because he knows Barry's coming for him. The only chance he has like a whole army of Chechens, he thinks. And we have the introductions gag, which of course has the old it's kind of a Shazam gag where it's like from a distance he's just like, oh yes, you must.
It is a Shazam gag for sure. Like,
and of course, like is he talking to me? Oh, he said my name. He must be talking to me. But then again, it's a really good speech from Stephen Root here. A really well written speech here about pieces and like how the pieces kind of can fit together. They can change, but they can ultimately like kind of still fit together after all this time. Basically saying the hope that he held out for Barry. And I really wondered, do you think Fugues in some way, shape, or form thinks if he had enough of a safeguard with the Chechens, he would have been able to sway Barry back to his side? Because do you think he holds that any Barry?
I mean, I'll put it this way. I very much think that the speech that he's laying out is less about Cristobal and Hank and more about Barry and himself.
That's true. I mean, I think it's coming from that place. Sure.
On some level, he very much wants the relationship with Barry to work out, even though he fears for his life.
Right. So the point is, he patches Hank and Cristobal's relationship, and they're bromanced again. They're buddies.
Oh my God! I'm sure you love this as much as I do. Just how much they're into each other.
Cristobal. Hank's like, "Oh no, you should be super mad at me. Like I betrayed you." And he's just, "Oh no,
you did not betray me. You only wanted to kill Esther to help me."
Exactly, which is delightful. Also, my favorite mundane thing in the whole thing. Yeah. Heroin table.
Oh, heroin table. Oh my God. Yes. Oh my God.
I love how he's like price checking because he's going on Amazon. He's going to like a different furniture site. He's just looking for like a really good. It's a nice antique table, but it's really Hank knows how to shop, man.
Dragon, I as you know, I work at a thrift store, and one of our big money makers is furniture. And I could totally imagine having like we get some sketch people coming into our alley. And I could just totally imagine a character like Hank just rolling into my alley and just being like, okay, like, I noticed you guys have a lot of tables in front, and that's great, but what specifically would you recommend for a heroin table?
You mean like anyway? No, that was point B. All right. So ultimately, anyway, so again, Barry being out of moves. Ultimately, he pulled the thing with the pin, which kind of frees Kusanao. Everything works out. Barry Luck comes in the free again. Again, the season could have ended there. On a happier season would have ended there.
And of course, we get the conversation between Barry and Leo, which was kind of a good build-up.
Kusanao Sun figures. That's really good. And then again, there's a lot of care on Barry's end there. It'd be really interesting to see if they have another scene in the next season. That'll be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So, oh boy. So again, Barry seemingly again he's never out of moves that Barry Berkman, and now the Chechnyans are basically the Chechnyans were blamed for Moss's murder, it seems. And again, that was an operating theory that Chechnyans and the Bolivians were kind of blamed for stuff in the first season too. So again, kind of a rehash, but a clever one. At the very least. Mm-hmm. Hank now tied into Hank, so Hank's on the chopping block. Interesting. Anyway, so Barry, Hank sends like, oh, no worries, everything's fine now. Thanks to Fuchs. Fuchs is here with us, and of course, I love the score, but like, dun 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 dun. The rain's coming down. It's a really great sequence. Is like Barry's anger the fire's been lit, and Barry's just driving over to the monastery. And oh boy, here's the big scene, man. The big scene.
Yeah, I mean, of course, throughout the whole season, we've made such a big point about, like, oh, Barry's turned over a new leaf. He's trying so hard not to kill anyone. You know, he's going out of his way not to kill. The whole starting now thing is really paying off. Nope. Dragon, this is just, it's such a visceral, like, you know, it's like we might try and change ourselves. But at the end of the day, like, you know, even an alcoholic who's been sober for years is still always going to be an alcoholic. You know what I mean? It's like there's always going to be that little part of yourself. And oh my God, it's just so explosive. And Dragon, I will wager to say, like, of course, I'm not going to make any comparison points between this and Better Call Saul, but this scene is right up there with like the best of the Albuquerque verse in terms of just like pure, like how big of a payoff it was for everything that was building up to it throughout the season, how well executed it was, how disturbing it was. And I mean, it's just all around. It just really fires on all cylinders. It's just total edge of yours. Dre, I'm not going to dwell on this issue. I've been kind of poking fun of it on social media all week. I just want to emphasize, though, Dragon, I am so tickled pink by this. All right? Last Sunday, the whole nation watched as Game of Thrones fucking went up in flames. Meanwhile, Barry does this.
Yep, basically Barry's own personal version of the Red Wedding or something.
In the same night.
Yep, and I think we were like, again, probably like the only two. Again, hopefully there's a lot more people watch the Barry when it premiered, but assuming the point is we're the only two guys psyched for like the premiere of that episode. We were, you know?
Well, I put on social media that day, I was like, everyone's all freaked out over the Game of Thrones finale, and I'm over here like, the Barry writers better not have killed Henry Winkler, darn it.
Oh yeah. So yeah, of course, like Barry just comes in charge, and of course, right off the bat, he kills Esther because that's like Lululemon tracksuit. Bam! Right in the head with the Chechnyan bullet, with the revenge bullet from Hank. So again, it all worked out wonderful because we saw the lift and like again, this Tiki is so fascinating when you really think about this. All right, think about this. He put that bullet as like the first bullet in the clip in the gun that he did not fire.
Sure.
Think about that. Oh boy, anyway. So it's just like just the most angry Fuchs you've ever heard. Fuchs is running for his life, and I love the fact that because they were all buddy, they weren't armed. That's why they're all dead. That's why because of Fuchs was his own undoing here. So Fuchs is running. It's a really great sequence here. Barry's just killing Barry's killing everybody. He's walking through there very casually, killing everybody, even his most loyal student, he kills Mayor Beck, and that one really bummed. That to me is the most shocking moment of the whole thing. Because Mayor Beck, to me, Tiki, I don't think Mayor Beck would have shot him. I really don't.
No, I don't. I don't either.
He hesitated and he smiled when he saw him. Barry shot him in the head and shot him in the heart. Just man, it's sad. Again, that's the poetic undoing of Mayor Beck. And Mayor Beck, again, this character you have to look up his name just to make sure you get it. But still, Mayor Beck left an impact though.
Yeah.
So Fuchs gets away. Importantly, Fuchs gets away. And let's see. So,
and like I said, I'm like 99% sure that Cristobal also got away.
I hope so. Again, here's the thing: we know there were a few guys that Barry seemingly let live because he asked, "Where is he? Where is he?" And they were unarmed. So assuming they didn't pick up guns, they might have been safe. So the point is the place was deserted with the exception of Hank at the very end. So either people left or were dead. So hopefully Cristobal's alive, but we'll see. That's the thing. There'll be a question if Hank might want revenge if Cristobal's dead. That's going to be a legitimate question.
Well, honestly, I think the thing that Hank's going to want revenge for is Barry planting the pin.
Well, I'm sure in terms of the interest, sure. But most, I think it'd be ticked off person about Cristobal.
No, but think about it. Think about it, though. Hank gives Barry the pin as like this big sign of like, loyalty and friendship.
And it's like you plant.
And then Barry literally uses the pin to fuck over Hank.
And again, it was a choice. It wasn't an accident.
Honestly, I really feel like that's where the Hank stuff is leading, I think.
That is going to be very fascinating. Again, I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion. We got to do Hank. We're going to have more of that intense theme, Hank versus Barry stuff. Okay, anyway, so let's see. So Barry, of course, Barry walks in the darkness, which is kind of a full circle thing too. I wasn't clever enough to put this together. I think this is brilliant though. That the intention was that Barry, he walked in from darkness at the start of the season with Barry's introduction. He kind of walked from darkness into the main set, and we end the season with him walking in the darkness. All the lights go out because all the lights were shot up and everything. He just walks literally in the dark, and the season could have ended there, and it would have been like the end for the whole series if they weren't confident in the season 3. Could have ended there. And it would have been full circle. It would have been also theatrical. Like, again, we enter and we end. It would have
been kind of like, hey, what was up with that weird whisper moment with Fuchs? But, oh, well, we wouldn't have cared.
Scene in, scene out. Again, like the right. Light goes out and the light goes out again. And, of course, we have the scene with Gene where Gene is... Now, again, I was on the edge of my seat because I thought Gene was going to kill... Remember, at the very start of the season, he talked about putting the gun to his lips that he kept under his pillow, under his bed. I thought he was going to shoot himself in this scene. I really did.
Yeah.
I was on the edge of my seat like, oh, no, Gene, don't do it. Don't you have Henry Winkler do it, man. Don't do it. That would have been tragic. So he's remembering Janice, and as he remembers Janice, he then remembers the finding Janice's body, which then basically replays the whisper scene. We reveal that Fuchs' big moment, his big screw you to Barry, was whispering to Gene Cousineau before he left. Barry Berkman did this.
Mm-hmm.
And again, knowing that Barry killed a man and got away with it.
Yeah, exactly.
Knowing that, there's no doubt.
Also knowing that Barry was at the cabin when she disappeared.
Knowing now those factors in mind, there is no workaround. There is no doubt. Gene Cousineau, again, you can make some wiggle room in other cases. This one, not so much. Gene knows for a fact Barry's capable of murder from just being a Marine, but more so murder for what happened.
Mm-hmm.
And now this. So, oh boy. Oh, one last thing before I mention with Hank, though. Hank is in the good graces with Tier because he got credit for extra skill. So again, Barry did do that for him, though. So again, that's the only thing that may or may not buy him a point back. But again, it was a betrayal. That's the only.
Like I said, I think honestly, I think if Barry had just betrayed Hank, that would have been one thing. But I really do think the significance of the pin being like a big symbol of friendship and loyalty is going to be the big undoing there.
I think you're right, but I also think again, like it depends how much Hank's.
It's just another in a long line of examples of Barry kind of underestimating, personal relationships.
Yeah, I'm going to assume that things start off with Hank being rewarded until he finds out about that pin. Basically, I think you're going to have her cake and eat it too on that. He's going to be on good terms with things with Barry if he sees him before the pin review, before the cops come and knocking.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, so the end of the season though again. So Gene knows, and he's like, "Oh God!" So that's That's the end of the season, man.
Right. Dragon, I honestly, throughout the course of our
we kind of spec'd already, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I feel like the spec kind of just naturally came up. Any other points that we need?
I think we went through about. Let me see. I think I might have one left here. Let me double check. Okay, real quick. It got renewed. Again, this question if it's going to be the last season or not. Which, if they go for 3-act structure, it easily could be. But again, these are really good writers, so it's interesting. Okay, I'm going to raise one point here. One in regards to the whole Gene Barry thing. Okay, one last.
Okay.
Thing. So, there is a question. If we know Gene and Barry are going to have a confrontation at some point, whether it's while he's working on the movie or not. The question is how long they can draw it out before Gene comes and knocking at Barry's door, or Barry comes back to class. That's
right,
the real question.
Right. Yeah.
I think the real question is, a part of me thinks this might happen. All right. I think a part of me, I don't know why, and I don't have a lot to back this up, but given the fact that, again, I know I'm just going to the gun here, I think Gene, it could be like a darkly comedic, but again, driven by the dramatic scene. I think Gene is going to try to kill Barry in retaliation for Janice. I'm going to throw an out there theory at you. Here's what I think might happen. Right, he's going to use the gun that he was given to him by Rip Torn, so again, an Aiken of like celebrity in Hollywood.
Right.
And of course, Gene's going to play it cool and plot murder on Barry. And there's gonna be a scene where he points the gun at him, and Barry's gonna be like, he might try to talk him down, but Barry's not gonna hurt Gene Kuznak because he loves Gene Kuznak. He's not gonna kill him.
Yeah.
I do not think Vermoy's gonna kill Gene Kuznak, but I think it's gonna happen is somehow. I think Barry. I don't know if they're gonna go this route, but feasibly there's only one chink in the Kusanao armor, and this is not a bad thing in the show, but it's something that they could. The only way out I could see for Barry is this. The fact that Gene, he didn't know Janet. Again, he knew Janice at most for a month. Basically knew her for at most 2 months, at least a month.
Honestly, I'm going to have to correct you there because I'm pretty sure there was a little bit of a flash forward.
No, I'm saying, here's the thing. I'm saying with that flash forward, Tiki, you had from the end of season 1 to the cabin scene at the end of season 1. That's as long as it is, and there's no telling how long that it could be, a month or 3 months. But that's as much as I can give them, man. Like 3 months is as much as I could imagine that being, along with the 2 weeks I think goes on in the regular course of the series. I mean, is that long enough to form like the love of my life connection? Which I'm not saying Gene doesn't feel. So I'm saying it is. It's fine as is. I'm not saying Gene. That's the only way out right now I can see without. They're better writers than I, folks. All right, so I'm not thinking a thing. I'm just saying end of the day, the only thing I can really theorize here is that somehow Barry might be able to sell Gene in a way of like. Gene can either forgive Barry or at least be on the path of forgiving him. Maybe Barry saves Gene from Hank. I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen. I think Gene's going to try to kill him, and there's going to be a conversation that's had because of that. And Gene's not going. Gene could shoot him, but not kill him. I don't know what's going to happen. That's the only big theory I have for season 3. Gene's going to pull a gun on Barry, the Rip Torn gun, and they're going to have a conversation. That's all I got. All right.
What about Fugues? All right,
Fugues. It's a good point. Right. Well, obviously Fugues is going to come back because he has to. God, I mean, okay. There's got to be this. Okay, here's what's got to happen. All right, Barry's going to have to make a decision to kill Fugues or not kill Fugues for one last time. If it's the last season, he's going to kill Fugues. It has to happen. They have to, again, because they need Stephen Rutan in the cast because he's a big part of Barry's life. If Barry wants to move on, if Barry can bury the hatchet with Gene, he might not kill Fugues. I mean, that's the real question. Because Fugues is the symbol of. He's gonna be pissed off at Fugues for telling Gene and ruining his life that way. He's gonna be really mad at Fugues, obviously. I think it really depends on how that Gene scene goes, like what the fate of Fugues is going to be. Because he's going to come across Fugues, he's going to be hunting down Fugues. If Fugues is in L.A., Barry's going to find him. I think it goes as far as that, at least, But if Barry's on the run for the whole season,
I think it's possible that Fugues has Cristobal and Hank.
Oh my God, man! You know what? I think you're right. You know what? I'm gonna. Okay. I'm going to throw one last thing I'm going to throw at you because you just inspired it. Okay, throw this at you. Okay. Let's assume last season. All right, last season. If it's the last season, Barry is on the run. Like episode 1, he's trying to maintain the status quo. He's like going to shoot like the first day of the movie. He's going to consult Gene Cousineau. Maybe we have a big confrontation. Like maybe Gene doesn't kill him, but he sends him packing and says like I'm gonna call the cops on you, Barry. I'm not going to kill you now or something. Point is like Barry's gonna be on the run for the season if it's the last one. And Hank Fuchs is going to reunite with Hank and maybe at the very least an injured Cristobal. Let's just say like a shot, maybe. I don't know. The point is Cristobal trying to be chipper about that. Well, it was a ricochet. I'm glad you cared. Something like that. Point being, I think they're going to team up and they're going to go after Barry, and it's going to be the question of maybe, oh my God. So again, if Barry's fate is again being an actor gets him killed. Barry finishes the movie somehow. He finds a way to finish the movie, and he's killed. But the movie is like in memoriam to Barry Berkman or something.
It's kind of like a Dark Knight, like posthumous situation.
But again, remember the whole thing. Again, this death might be in his future. If they team up
like
and
Barry,
Barry,
like Barry's death, just like kind of brings like an air of clout and credibility and respect to this very, very, very stupid sounding movie.
Imagine this, Tiki. Yes, but Tiki, you're right on the money there. Imagine Tiki again. I'm assuming this is the last season.
He feels like the sort of like lampooning of Hollywood culture that this show has been going for all along.
Tiki, with the lampooning. I mean, imagine this, Tiki. Imagine this. This is the end. If this is the end of the series, where again the series is kind of prophesized that Barry can't live in the dark, can't live in the light as a hitman. Basically, if he's a successful actor, he's dead. Barry somehow, however many episodes, he succeeds as an actor. He either gets that project made or gets some other stuff. And point being, at the very least, he gets that one thing made. And he's again, as you're saying, let's just say it's crap, literal in the case of the pie, it's crap or whatever. The point is, it's a real 1%er movie. But again, Barry gets killed. And that adds all the intrigue. And when he gets killed, people find out who he was. They find out, he was a hitman. They learn all this. It's all out in the open, and they're all talking about it. Gene Cousineau writes a book, or Sally writes a book that, I dated the hitman. That makes her career. And Gene Cousineau has a similar thing where it's like, yes, he was my protege.
Oh yeah. I like what you're throwing. I like what you
see what I mean? And it goes down. It goes down like that.
Sure.
All right.
Barry, a sexy killer.
So Barry got what he wanted in the end. So Barry would get what he wants in the end. He becomes a star, becomes a renowned actor for, again, just being himself, essentially. And he was able to do both things. But in the moment he did both things and achieved it, death.
All right.
But he lives on in his work in in memoriam.
Yeah.
All right. Final thoughts.
All right. I mean, I really don't have a lot to add that we haven't already said, Dragon. I think this season is just it is the most high caliber. It is God tier level TV. It's just like top tier, like some of the best tightly written TV that I've seen. It's just like the line between movies and TV is blurry because this just has top caliber acting, just insane levels of production values. The plot is just really super intricate. It's got, as we keep on saying, it's got that kind of that delicate tonal shift that that's really fun to play around with. But at the end of the day, I'm very excited for this show, and I hope that they know a solid ending point for it, because I really do feel like, in the best of ways, this is a show with a shelf life. But just because they're so tight with the storytelling that I don't want to see this thing get stretched out. I really want to see them stick to landing on this. Yeah,
again, this season was very impressive. I'm so satisfied with this season. It was so even stronger on the rewatch. It's filled with excellent performances, wonderful direction. Again, it's like the whole season. Again, Barry's just bringing back the matchstick moments that I've loved so much in storytelling and in narrative so much, with Barry's luck and just seeing how long can it go on, and all these really great themes that are present in every episode. The titles alone, I really can't get enough of it. And I agree with Tiki's point earlier that it's a crime this show isn't getting more attention, because it deserves it. And again, it got a third season, so some people are watching.
But I don't think that it's an obscure show like it was in season 1. Yeah. I think especially Ronnie Lilly really was kind of like the headline grabbing episode that sort of put it on the map. And honestly, Dragon, like I really am seeing like more and more just in podcasts and stuff, and people just kind of casually, like, I really do feel like it's kind of got like an early Breaking Bad style like groundswell to it right now, where it's like I feel like by the time we get to season 3, people are going to be hotly anticipating it.
I know this. The difference.
I just think this season it was very much like Game of Thrones was fucking just. Oh man, I'm so satisfied with the fact that Game of Thrones just. I mean, I don't want to sound malicious here, man, but like I knew there was a reason why I skipped out on that thing.
Anyway, let me put it this way. Again, it's not, and Kidding unfortunately does not have, at least until May. Hopefully, season 2 of Kidding might change this. The point.
I don't think Kidding's really got a chance to be a breakout show. I think Kidding is like our new Leftovers. That's going to be like the the critical darling niche show that's very artistic and art house.
Well, the point being, what I'm getting at here is, unfortunately, I still have to sell people on. I have to inform people about Kidding, but people are starting to ask me about Barry, like, or it comes up in conversation a little bit more, and I go, oh my God, you gotta watch Barry, yeah. And but that's the thing. You're right. Barry is getting somewhat of a following that hopefully will grow. Of course, it again has cachet on Bill Hader and Henry Winkler, and it is getting Emmy attention. And unfortunately, some other shows aren't getting. But I mean, hey, at least Barry's getting attention, man. It's getting some awards, and I think that's what's wonderful. So so Barry's doing it right, man. I just hope they keep doing it right. Again, Bill Hader and Alper know what they're doing. I mean, they didn't expect quite a third season. Again, they had obviously there's an idea for a third one with the ending of this one. I will see how again with the writing process on the shows, they have like they spitball some good ideas, and it really comes to full fruition. I mean. Either and we'll see how long they go. Maybe they go for an extended final season with the next one. Who knows? Maybe like beyond 8 episodes. Maybe like 10 episodes for a final season. I don't know. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, for sure.
But the point being, this is again Barry. They're doing it right, and again, I think I gotta tell you, if you're going to an HBO show, you want kind of the face of like a show that's the face of HBO, what HBO could be in the best sense. And kind of what we're doing with TV today. I kind of said this with Kidding. I said with Barry the first go around. Again, like shows like Kidding and Barry on the cable networks. They're the shows we should be striving for. Again, we're kind of the streaming TV on the old favorites in a way, in an excellent way. So again, Barry's doing it right. We need more shows like Barry.
Mm-hmm. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us on this one, and I just highly recommend it. I mean, if you sat through this whole conversation and you haven't watched it yet, I'm sorry, but it is a spoiler cast anyways. Let's see, Dragon, what's on the horizon? We're covering Daredevil. We got a Disney debate coming up that I'm very excited for at the tail end of the month. Of course, our movie memoirs is going to be coming around next week. Anything else major to tease up?
I mean, there's Godzilla too.
Right, of course, Godzilla. Yes, with Farmiga.
That's next spoiler cast. Yeah.
Yeah, next spoiler cast. Sure. All right. But in the meantime, folks, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later. Have a good night. Barry, you killed a man, and you got away with it.